In a meditation chamber within the hotel, designed specifically for deep contemplation, Suran sat cross-legged with his heart pointing to the sky, eyes closed in cultivation. Corresponding to blood chi, essence force, and divine sense, three types of light, crimson, jade white, and pale gold, naturally formed a cocoon of energy around his body, manifesting a certain equilibrium among the three powers. About the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, as the energy cocoon retracted back into Suran's body, his closed eyes slowly opened. A sharp glint flashed through the depths of his eyes, as the perfect conjunction of spirit gave rise to an enigmatic charm, making his already handsome features seem as though he was an exiled immortal above the mortal realm. As he slowly raised a hand, a long sword hanging on the wall of the chamber rang out with a clang and flew into his hand, drawn by his vital energy. "Majui, it's up to you today," said Suran as he ran his other hand, formed into a sword-finger gesture, over the blade before sheathing it and strapping it to his waist. 3 days had passed since he arrived at Broken Abyss City. In the time that Fang Kanghai had bought for him, Suran had completely sorted out his power according to the Yang Guang cultivation method, even at the expense of 3 days of meditation. Now his condition had reached a peak. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knocking sound from outside the chamber. Fang Kanghai entered the chamber, looked at Suran with satisfaction and said, "This spirit of yours is really something. How's your cultivation going?" "The three powers have already achieved balance," Suran replied with a smile. "Good," Fang Kanghai nodded slightly. "Once the three forces are balanced, even if meditation has absorbed some divine sense power, it only takes cultivating once every 3 or 5 days to rebalance them." "More or less," Suran responded verbally, though he couldn't help but internally retort. That was true for other people. For him, 1 day of meditation required a day of cultivation with the Yang Guang cultivation method to make up for the absorbed divine sense. Luckily, it seemed that divine sense was greatly nourishing to contract power. Cultivating every other day, the increase in contract power was still faster than before. As the two talked, they walked out of the chamber. Outside the chamber, including the bright group, all were looking at Suran with expectant eyes. "Don't worry, I will take you with me," Suran said, understanding their thoughts through their heart-to-heart connection. In the last 3 days, to keep up with the progress, he had been cultivating the Yang Guang cultivation method day and night, continuously enhancing his individual combat power, which also caused his pet beasts to start worrying. They were concerned that Suran might start to handle everything on his own in the future. But such worries were obviously unnecessary. Although his visit to the Zhou family in Broken Abyss City to meet the senior Zhou Palu was to demonstrate his personal martial prowess, the 5 little ones who were his constant companions would naturally accompany him. "I have prepared a carriage, it's right below the hotel," Fang Kanghai said with a slight smile, watching the interaction between Suran and his pet beasts. "Once you're ready, follow me. I have set the stage for you already, just waiting for you to shine." Zhou family of Broken Abyss City. This was a family force established by the epic-level beast master Zhou Palu and his clansmen, famous throughout Broken Abyss City, a power not to be provoked by ordinary people. In the highly valued land of Broken Abyss City, the Zhou family's main residence spanned 10,000 acres, a testament to their strength. In the most inner part of the main house, in a guest reception hall, the family head Zhou Palu was entertaining a guest. Sitting at a lower seat was a somewhat reserved and taciturn middle-aged man. He sat there quietly, yet his presence was as disconcerting as an unsheathed sword. After a while, Zhou Palu laughed and turned to the middle-aged man. "Old Jai, it's been a while, how have you been?" "Not bad," replied the middle-aged man named Jai Chuan, nodding slightly. "What is it that you've called me here for?" "It's like this," Zhou Palu chuckled. "In the past few days, I've had a junior who I've had the fortune to meet once come to me, seeking my help. There are quite a few such cases normally, since in my earlier years I used to roam around and have been to many other beast fields. But this time is a bit different. That junior comes from beast field number 47. Jai Chuan's gaze sharpened, clearly making some connections. "It seems you've thought of it too," Zhou Palu commented as he took a sip of tea. "The current state of beast field number 47 could really be described as precarious. This junior hopes I can go to beast field number 47 and lend a hand. I thought about the fact that when I visited beast field number 47 back in the day, it was with you, so I called you here to see if you have any thoughts on this matter. Jai Chuan fell silent for a moment before lifting his teacup and draining it. Behind Beast Field number 47 is the competition among saint spirits, he started. You know this better than I do, he continued. Yet you're still asking for my opinion. So Jai Chuan glanced at Joe Paulo. What conditions did they offer? Ha ha ha, Joe Paulo laughed heartily. As expected, old Jai, you always pinpoint the core of the matter, just like your swordsmanship. His laughter gradually subsided, and his expression became conflicted. But what they offered me, indeed, is quite tempting. Old Jai, have you ever heard of blood chi, essence force, divine sense? Jai Chuan shook his head. What's that? That junior told me that the power reflected back to us by our pet beasts through the beast-taming contract is actually a type of blood chi power hidden within the flesh. And he has a special cultivation method on hand that can convert this so-called power into a new power, significantly enhancing the individual combat power of a beast master. He wants to exchange this cultivation method for my assistant. Jai Chuan suddenly looked up, his gaze fixed on Joe Paulo. Where is this person? I knew you would be interested in this, Joe Paulo said with an unsurprised smile. In this broken abyss city, when it comes to valuing personal combat power, if Jai Chuan says he's second, no one would dare say they're first. Chapter 782, 371. Is it you? This junior hopes I can go to Beast Field number 47 to lend a hand. I remember when we went to Beast Field number 47 together, so I called you over to ask for your opinion and see what you think. Jai Chuan fell silent for a moment, then raised the teacup in his hand and drank it empty. Behind Beast Field number 47, there's a contest between saint spirits. You know this better than I do. Yet you still ask for my opinion. So, Jai Chuan glanced at Joe Paulo. What did they offer you? Ha ha ha, Joe Paulo burst out laughing. As expected, old Jai, you always see right through to the heart of the matter, just like your swordsmanship. His laughter gradually subsided, and then his expression turned troubled. But what they offered is really tempting. Old Jai, have you ever heard of something called chi, essence force, divine sense? Jai Chuan shook his head. What's that? The junior told me that the power fed back to us through the beast-taming contract by the pet beasts is actually a type of chi blood power hidden within the flesh. And he has a special cultivation method in his hands, which can transform this so-called power into a new kind of power, thus greatly enhancing the individual combat power of a beast master. He wants to exchange this cultivation method for my intervention. Jai Chuan suddenly looked up, his gaze locking onto Joe Paulo. Where is he? I knew you'd be interested in this thing, Joe Paulo smiled unsurprisingly. In Broken Abyss City, when it comes to valuing individual combat power, if you, Jai Chuan, claim to be the second, no one would dare claim to be the first. The junior has come to Broken Abyss City this time, bringing along a young man who, according to him, has made some progress in cultivating the Yang Guang cultivation method, and today he will bring him to demonstrate the power of this cultivation method for us. It's also a coincidence that young man also uses a sword. So I called you here as well to take a look. Jai Chuan glanced at Joe Paulo, then quickly withdrew his gaze and uttered seemingly randomly, 5 pieces. Is that a bit much? Joe Paulo's expression showed pain. Then just 1 piece, Jai Chuan seemed to concede. Let's make it 5 pieces, Joe Paulo's lips twitched slightly. Their conversation was somewhat cryptic, but being acquaintances for several decades, they each understood the other's meaning perfectly. Joe Paulo's calling of Jai Chuan, who was originally uninvolved with the matter, on this day was definitely not as simple as just taking a look. His insinuated message only meant one thing. If you, Jai Chuan, are interested in this cultivation method, then Beast Field number 47 is yours to handle. The waters of Beast Field number 47 are too deep, and Joe Paulo, with a large family to consider, really dares not to get involved lightly. The saint spirits watching from behind might not stoop to take action against him directly, but making things difficult for his Joe family would be as easy as flicking a finger. But Jai Chuan is different. This guy is a loner and doesn't need to give face to those saint spirits. As long as he doesn't commit heinous crimes, the saint spirits cannot casually oppress an epic-level beast master. He is the most suitable candidate to intervene in Beast Field number 47. As for the Yang Guang cultivation method, Joe Paulo is naturally also tempted. It is truly something capable of taking his family's strength to the next level. So he plans to obtain it in another way. That is, once the matter is settled, Jade would pass it on to him. In this way, he could get what he wanted without risking his family in the bloodless maelstrom between the saint spirits, killing two birds with one stone. And Jade, of course, had seen through Joe Paulo's intentions. So he didn't hold back. 5 pieces referred to 5 epic-level resources. Joe Paulo was originally somewhat reluctant, but when Jade put forward 1 piece, he had to agree to the deal. Because 1 piece referred to a Saint Spirit-level resource. Upon comparison, 5 pieces turned out to be less painful. In a few brief exchanges, the two quietly reached a certain understanding. And the Joe family steward led 2 figures into the guest reception hall. It was Fang Kanghai and Su Ran who had rushed over. Chapter 783, 372, Jade draws his knife. No need for anyone to signal the start. The moment the demon abyss dragon stepped out, the bout had already begun. After communicating with the beast master, it realized that the human before it was trying to defeat it, relying solely on his own strength. It showed a disdainful expression, and a dark energy sphere rapidly converged as it opened its mouth, before shooting towards Su Ran like a laser. The whole world seemed to darken at that instant. Staring at the gloomy light, a stroke of gold suddenly appeared beneath Su Ran's feet. An inexplicable power erupted, propelling his body to swiftly dodge to one side. The demon abyss dragon's gaze narrowed at that moment. Then, without hesitation, it twisted the dark breath towards Su Ran, sweeping over with all the momentum of rolling thunder. Clang! With a clear ring of a blade, realizing he couldn't dodge the attack, Su Ran finally drew his sword. The robust power instantly swept along the blade, ultimately converging at the edge. With just a swing, it created a torrent of blade shadows, blooming like flowers. Cleaving 6 sabers, the third saber, hidden blossom style. Boom! The blossoming blade shadows collided with the dragon's breath in an instant, and the hidden power within burst forth. The piercing force seemed as if it could tear apart heaven and earth, and even the dragon's breath was shredded in an instant under its power. The energy fragments that scattered created a storm, which spread across the entire arena in a moment, only to be stopped by an invisible force within the confines of the stage just before it could go beyond. Seeing this, there was an uproar outside the arena. Zhou Huanfeng's demon abyss dragon was among the strongest pet beasts of the king-level beast masters in the Zhou family. In its 2 evolutions, it had performances that far exceeded its same stage peers, and thus it was considered one of the potential next-generation pet beasts that might evolve into the Holy Spirit race. And the dragon's breath that it had just used was its most commonly utilized attack, known as the Breath of the Abyss. Not many king-level disciples' pet beasts could receive this attack without injury. And now, had this attack just been received by a king-level beast master using his individual combat power? Looking at Su Ran, who rushed out of the dust and charged at the demon abyss dragon, sword in hand, and without even a scratch on his clothes, their astonishment intensified even further. Is this guy really a beast master? Equally astonished was Jade, who was watching the battle from outside the arena. The sky full of blade shadows that Su Ran had slashed out, which had shattered the dragon's breath, were also imprinted in his mind. This was a mysterious swordsmanship he had never seen before. As the person in the Radiant Empire who delved deepest into researching beast masters' individual combat power, the sword was something he had been familiar with since his earliest memories. As he grew up and became powerful enough to not fear most transcendent beings in the beast field, he began to wander through various beast fields. His aim was to collect swordsmanship from various human cities, to combine the strengths of many schools, and to form a swordsmanship uniquely his own. He was confident that he knew all the swordsmanship techniques that existed in the shining Holy Kingdom. Yet the strike that Su Ran, the young man before him, was executing right now was something he had never seen before. In an instant, Jade was overcome with intense curiosity about Su Ran. If he wasn't out of consideration for the face of Joe Paulo, he would be itching to call a halt to the bout right now, take the stage himself and measure against Su Ran to get a clearer feel of this unknown swordsmanship. On the other hand, Fang Kanghai felt his tense mood completely relax after witnessing the first tentative clash between the man and the beast in the arena. For the past few days, he had been busy moving around Broken Abyss City, and he wasn't very updated on Su Ran's training progress, let alone clear on how strong he had become. When he heard that Su Ran was going to face a king-stage Emperor species pet beast, his heart was pounding hard, for he, an Emperor-level beast master, knew all too well how powerful the Emperor species were. Fortunately, Su Ran had done it. With just one exchange, Fang Kanghai could assert that Su Ran would not be at a disadvantage in this battle. Even if he did not win, he had already achieved his aim. Back in the arena, having shattered the dragon breath of the demon abyss dragon with hidden blossom style, Su Ran channeled the robust essence force and blood energy to his feet and exploded with extreme speed, rushing out of the dust he had kicked up, sword in hand, to attack the demon abyss dragon. The reaction of the demon abyss dragon was equally fast. Seeing Su Ran getting closer and closer, it knew another attack like before wouldn't pose a threat anymore. It changed its tactics immediately and let out a prolonged dragon roar to the sky. An invisible force enveloped the entire stage. A terrifying pressure burst forth from the void in an instant, pressing down on Su Ran, who was in motion. King's power. The crown-like energy atop the demon abyss dragon's head became incredibly clear at that moment, almost fully outlining a giant imperial crown, as overwhelming attribute power instantly covered the whole arena, even dimming the skies for a flash. Imperial crown. The two unique talent skills of the king species and emperor species unfolded in full at this moment. In a battle between members of the emperor species, activating these skills or not didn't make much difference. If one side activated them, the other would naturally do the same. They would cancel each other out, equivalent to not having them activated at all. But Su Ran was a human. He couldn't deploy the king's power or the imperial crown, so these two seemingly ineffective skills now had a proper battlefield to prove their worth. The terrifying force bore down from above, and Su Ran, who was in the midst of a charge, involuntarily crouched down as if caught in deep mud. Even his movements became extremely difficult. Being common didn't mean these unique skills of king species and emperor species weren't powerful. Chapter 784-372, Jai Xuan draws his knife. The demon abyss dragon let out a fierce roar, and a gigantic claw suddenly raised, covered with the pitch-black dark power that transformed into rolling black flames, instantly magnifying the claw more than tenfold, as it smashed down towards Su Ran with the momentum to blot out the skies. It's over, arrogant humans. Seeing this scene, the Zhou family's younger generation finally breathed a sigh of relief. Surely they couldn't really let this guy defeat Zhou Huanfeng's demon abyss dragon with individual combat power, could they? Fang Kanghai couldn't help feeling anxious as well. If it was just the king's power, Su Ran might have had a chance to win, but with the addition of the more suppressive imperial crown, how could Su Ran possibly win? In his anxiety, Fang Kanghai's gaze unintentionally swept over Su Ran's 6 pet beasts left outside the arena, and then his expression slightly froze. Why aren't any of them showing a worried look? The 6 pet beasts of course wouldn't worry, because they had all seen Su Ran sparring with Xian the day before. In that bout, although Su Ran ultimately lost, it wasn't due to being overpowered by the pressure of the realm. In his words, if humans from another world could completely defeat transcendent beings through individual combat power, then there must be a way to counter both the king's power and the imperial crown. And that method he had already found it. In the arena, just when everyone thought there was no more suspense in this battle, a change once again occurred. A point of golden light at Su Ran's brow shone dazzlingly like the sun, his heart beat like thunderous war drums, as rolling essence force surged around him. Divine sense, chi and blood essence force, 3 distinct powers bloomed all at once, and ultimately merged together, forming a wisp of profound power. That power, like an invisible membrane, completely enveloped Su Ran's body. In an instant, the surrounding pressure vanished like smoke. Watching the shadow of the claw about to fall, Su Ran neither dodged nor evaded, his hand gripping the sword tightened. Then, to the astonishment of all onlookers, he closed his eyes. The swordsmanship was listening. The overpowering swordsmanship surged like relentless waves, spreading out in all directions. Within the unique vision of the sword, Su Ran saw the enormous claw shrouded in black flames, saw the overwhelming power of this strike, and also saw the fleeting flaw. Su Ran opened his eyes, a flash of brilliance in an instant, and his sword moved accordingly. One strike, as elusive as an antelope hanging by its horns, a traceless strike. Before the eyes of all, Su ran with a single slash, severed the sky of black flames, like leaving six sabers first saber, piercing cloud stance. Accompanying the demon abyss dragon's painful howl, Jai Chuan's pupils sharply contracted as he abruptly stood up. This strike, for some reason, he felt as if he saw a shadow of himself in it. Yet it wasn't entirely his own. It was mixed with some profound elements that he had yet to see through. At this moment, Jai Chuan felt an excited thrill of discovery. It wasn't a wasted trip, not a wasted trip at all. Su Ran's sword moved once again, not giving the demon abyss dragon a chance to continue. After slashing open its flaw and severely damaging its claw with one strike, Su Ran's sword drew a bright arc in the air. The arc was like a beam of light cutting through darkness, completely severing the darkness covered by the imperial crown. The swordsmanship soared like a long rainbow, in an instant already at the demon abyss dragon's side, like leaving six sabers second saber, crescent slash. Hum! A low buzzing sound rang out. An invisible force stood between the sword's momentum and the demon abyss dragon. The previously unstoppable swordsmanship seemed to cut into cotton, instantly dissolving away. Joe Paulo had taken action. This battle Su Ran, young friend, wins. Joe Paulo declared the victor of this sparring match in a solemn voice, his gaze shifting toward the Joe family's youth, heads bowed low. Do you have any objections? Objections? The young members of the Joe family were like quails. Having been so dominated by a beast master of the same stage, how could they dare object? Zhou Huanfeng took a deep look at Su Ran, raising his hand to send the injured demon abyss dragon back to the place it was summoned from. Their beast-taming family clans had specialized places to care for them, where injured pet beasts could receive immediate treatment and care. Watching the family's young ones keeping silent, a trace of a smile flickered in Joe Paulo's eyes. Although Su Ran had won against their family member, didn't it precisely prove the effectiveness of that cultivation method? Although part of it was due to Su Ran's exquisite swordsmanship, when Su Ran resolved the pressure of the king's power and the imperial crown, it was completely unrelated to swordsmanship. To be able to dissipate such oppression from higher-order transcendent beings was enormously significant. Thinking of the Zhou family's future with this cultivation method, Joe Paulo's smile could hardly be suppressed. Next, the second round. No need for a second round, Jai Chuan said, a flash step bringing him to the platform. This kind of spar is enough with just one round. If anyone else had interrupted Joe Paulo, he would likely have become furious. But since it was Jai Chuan who interrupted, Joe Paulo naturally wouldn't mind. Old Jai, what are you thinking? Seeing Jai Chuan on the platform, he knew the man was up to something. Jai Chuan didn't answer Joe Paulo, but instead turned to look at the surprised Su Ran. You're Su Ran, right? Jai Chuan drew his long saber from his waist. I've suppressed my strength to the king level. Dare to give it a try. This, Su Ran blinked, unable to help himself. Why was he not playing by the rules? This man named Jai Chuan was an old friend of Joe Paulo, and most likely at the level of an epic beast master. Why would such a high-level beast master bother to compete with him? Internally questioning, Su Ran couldn't help but give Jai Chuan another look. Back in the guest reception hall, he had felt something familiar about the man. Now, as Jai Chuan drew his saber, that faint sense of familiarity suddenly grew stronger. But Su Ran still couldn't figure out why the man seemed familiar. Well, he could think about it slowly during the spar. As his thoughts raced, Su Ran gripped his long saber more tightly. Senior, please enlighten me. It was Joe Paulo who made the announcement. This battle, the victory goes to young friend Su Ran, Joe Paulo declared solemnly, his gaze shifting to each of the Joe family youths bowing their heads. Do you have any objections? Objections? The youths of the Joe family were like quails. Having been so humiliated by a beast master of the same stage, how could they dare to object? Zhou Huanfeng looked deeply at Su Ran and raised his hand to send the injured demon abyss dragon back to its summoning place. Such beast master families always had a special place for the fostering of their pet beasts, where injured beasts could receive immediate treatment and care. Seeing the family's youth silent one by one, a hint of a smile flashed in Joe Paulo's eyes. Although Su Ran had defeated their own, wasn't that precisely the proof of the prowess of the cultivation method? Although it involved the other party's exquisite swordsmanship, when Su Ran dissolved the king's power and the pressure of the imperial crown, it had nothing to do with his swordsmanship at all. To be able to resist the suppression of such a high-level transcendent being was of great significance. Thinking of the future of the Joe family having this cultivation method, Joe Palu found it impossible to suppress the smile tugging at his lips. Next up, the second round. No need for a second round, Jake Shuan said with a flash step onto the platform. This kind of spar is enough with just one round. If anyone else had interrupted Joe Palu, he would likely have become furious. But since it was Jake Shuan who interrupted, Joe Palu naturally wouldn't mind. Old Jai, what are you thinking? Seeing Jake Shuan on the platform, he knew the man was up to something. Jake Shuan didn't answer Joe Palu, instead turning to look at the surprised Su Ran. You're Su Ran, right? Jake Shuan drew his long saber from his waist. I've suppressed my strength to the king level. Dare to give it a try. This, Su Ran blinked, unable to help himself. Why was he not playing by the rules? This man named Jake Shuan was an old friend of Joe Palu, and most likely at the level of an epic beast master. Why would such a high-level beast master bother to compete with him? Internally questioning, Su Ran couldn't help but give Jake Shuan another look. Back in the guest reception hall, he had felt something familiar about the man. Now, as Jake Shuan drew his saber, that faint sense of familiarity suddenly grew stronger. But Su Ran still couldn't figure out why the man seemed familiar. Well, he could think about it slowly during the spar. As his thoughts raced, Su Ran gripped his long saber more tightly. Senior, please enlighten me. Chapter 785, 373, Arrival of the Upper Realm Beast. Taking a deep breath, Qin Chuan gripped the Majui blade firmly in both hands. His gaze became resolute as he slowly raised the Majui blade high above him, his movements so slow that they were full of openings, yet inexplicably exuded an air of impregnability. His eyes locked onto Jake Shuan from afar as he brought the Majui blade down with force. A crescent-like blade light swept through the void, enveloping a slash powerful enough to sever heaven and earth, and it appeared instantly in front of Jake Shuan. Jake Shuan quickly raised his sword and thrust forward, dispersing the blade light with a flick, and for the first time his gaze toward Su Ran held a hint of doubt. Where did you learn my blade technique? I've seen your moves before, senior, replied Su Ran as he sheathed his sword and gave a distant bow toward Jake Shuan. I once found a remnant blade of yours, and from it, I gained some understanding of your blade technique. That's also why I began to use a blade. Remnant blade. Jake Shuan showed a contemplative expression and then shook his head after a moment. He had traveled to too many places to remember this one detail. To discern the blade technique from my remnant blade, you must indeed possess an exceptional talent, he concluded in the end. Let's end this sparring match here. That's fine. Joe Palu laughed and waved his hand toward the awkward juniors at the side of the field. Disperse. The Joe family disciples scattered as if granted amnesty, eager to leave. We'll discuss the next matters in the guest reception hall. Joe Palu nodded toward Fang Kanghai and walked out of the training field. A look of surprise and relief flashed across Fang Kanghai's eyes. He finally saw hope. Clearly, Su Ran's performance had impressed Joe Palu, and now it all depended on whether he could persuade the other party. As long as he could convince Joe Palu to go to Beast Field number 47, the crisis posed by Beast Field number 8 might not be completely resolved, but at least Fang Kanghai would no longer feel desperate. When everyone returned to the guest reception hall and sat down, servants swiftly presented them with tea. Fang Kanghai took a light sip and smiled. Elder Joe, what do you think of Su Ran's performance just now? Indeed very strong, Joe Palu candidly replied. The Yang Guang cultivation method you mentioned seems to indeed have some substance. Upon hearing this, Fang Kanghai felt a surge of joy, since that's the case. I have a question, Joe Palu's eyes flashed sharply. After this Yang Guang cultivation method is given to our Joe family, when do you plan to make it public? That, Fang Kanghai's expression stiffened momentarily as he took another sip from his teacup. What would Elder Joe suggest? 1 year, Joe Palu said without hesitation. After the Yang Guang cultivation method is given to our Joe family, it cannot be made public within 1 year. That period is a bit long, Fang Kanghai exhaled slowly. Elder Joe must know that once the Joe family masters such a cultivation method, the other powers in Broken Abyss City will surely seek to discover its origin. With their capabilities, finding out that the cultivation method comes from Beast Field number 47 is not difficult. That would certainly put pressure on me, Fang Kanghai revealed with a wry smile. I cannot withstand such pressure for a whole year. HMPH, possibly reminded by Fang Kanghai's words and thinking of something unpleasant, Joe Palu's expression darkened as he let out a snort. What if I could ensure that others cannot trace the cultivation method back to you? This, Fang Kanghai pondered for a moment before slowly speaking up. If Elder Joe can do that, 1 year is acceptable. One condition. Jai Xuan, who had been silent until now, suddenly spoke up. Joe Palu's eyes widened as he looked toward Jai Xuan. Jai Xuan too lifted his head, his sharp gaze unyielding. Fine, one condition. Joe Palu let out a heavy sigh. Their vague exchange left Fang Kanghai and Su Ran, who were on the sidelines, utterly confused. What did they mean by one condition? However, it was clear that neither Joe Palu nor Jai Xuan had any intention of explaining. Kanghai, is it okay to transfer our deal to someone else? Joe Palu suddenly asked out of the blue. What does Elder Joe mean? Fang Kanghai's brows furrowed, puzzled. Your beast field number 47 has caught the saints' attention, and soon several semi-saints will descend upon it. That's why you came to Broken Abyss City, hoping I would deal with the semi-saints, right? Joe Palu smiled. That's correct, Fang Kanghai nodded. You simply need someone with the strength to face a semi-saint. It doesn't necessarily matter if it's me, right? Joe Palu took another sip of his tea and spoke indifferently. Now, Fang Kanghai finally caught on to Joe Palu's insinuation, his eyes abruptly shifting toward Jai Xuan. You may not understand who he is, Joe Palu chuckled. After all, he's a lone wolf, not like me with a big family and big business in Broken Abyss City. But his strength is matched by few among the epic-level beast masters. Wielding his long sword, he can slay semi-saints and wound saint spirits, Sword Saint Jai Xuan. Joe Palu's eyes held profound meaning. How about letting him take action? Not a loss, right? Elder Jai agrees to take action. Fang Kanghai's previous dissatisfaction vanished instantly. He truly did not know of Jai Xuan's reputation. But after Joe Palu's remark, it was clear that he was dealing with an extremely powerful individual. Su Ran, too, was somewhat expectant. He had once witnessed Jai Xuan in action through the remnant blade, even though it was an earlier display, and his strength was certainly not as formidable as it was now. That power still left a deep impression in his heart. If Elder Jai could make a move, there would be much greater confidence in this battle. Below the semi-saint, I will not take action, Elder Jai said as he picked up his teacup and took a light sip. If a semi-saint comes, don't even think about leaving. The spoils of slaying a semi-saint will be mine. If a saint spirit comes, the deal is off. If you can accept that, hand over the Yang Guang cultivation method. Fang King has eyes shown, no problem. Where beast field number 47 meets beast field number 8, there lies a river that is 500 meters wide. This river divides the two shores, forming the boundary between the two beast fields. At this very moment, on one end of this boundary line, countless superhuman creatures of various races occupy all the space on the riverbanks. As far as the eye can see, their numbers do not end, and even more transcendent beings fly above in the sky. They silently gaze at beast field number 47 across the river, as orderly as an army composed of transcendent beings. Whoa! Suddenly, a giant dragon head emerged from the river. Soon, a giant dragon covered in blue scales stood on the water surface with its horns touching the water, and it roared towards the sky. A water-blue halo transformed into a crown, converging above its head. Behind it, countless transcendent beings bowed their heads slightly, showing submission. This was unmistakably a beast emperor. As its power burst forth, the surging river beneath it split in two in an instant. The excess water, as if encountering an invisible wall, rose high into the air, forming two walls of water, while a wide passage was created by the dry riverbed. Following another dragon's roar, the transcendent beings behind it raised their hands, emitting a roar full of lofty battle spirit, crossing the riverbed to the other shore. With the beast emperor leading the way, this was an army of transcendent beings capable of bringing destruction to beast field number 47. Yet this was merely a temporary force dispatched by the saints of beast field number 8, and compared to the beast tide facing off against Broken Abyss City head-on, their strength was less than 100th. The transcendent beings opposite the river who tried to flee the moment they noticed were killed on the spot by a mysterious faint light that struck from nowhere. In the end, only one flying beast king survived. Tell Demon Wood that if it awaits death with bound hands and feet, we may leave it a whole corpse. A voice as dull as thunder rolled in from behind the army, laden with authority, causing the Beast King to tremble with fear and flee desperately out of sight. Before long, news reached all 9 second-level towns and 23 3-level towns within Beast Field number 47. The high echelon of the Beast Master Association, in charge of central coordination, quickly assembled and immediately announced a wartime state for all. For the first time, Xi'an City, which always kept its gates wide open, closed its grand doors. Countless beast masters took their positions upon the city walls, stationed outside the walls, ready for the battle. 3 hours later, the northern part of Beast Field number 47 received dire news. Yaohan City, located at the northernmost point, and its 3 neighboring 3-level towns had fallen. Since the civilians had already been evacuated, almost all the casualties were beast masters. In this battle, 1 overlord-level beast master fell, and tens of thousands of lower-ranked beast masters perished. Humans in the cities further back were panic-stricken upon hearing this dreadful news, as if the end of the world had come. Fortunately, after the fall of Yaohan City and the occupation of the vantage points by the army of transcendent beings from Beast Field number 8, they did not continue to advance. They held Yaohan City, calling out to Demon Wood to come and apologize within a day. Otherwise, they would continue advancing and destroy 2 more cities. A day's respite not only failed to rally the humans of Beast Field number 47, but completely threw them into disarray. Many started to resent Demon Wood, blaming it for their realm's desperate state, perceiving it as a fellow transcendent being, and thus responsible for the calamity that humans were suffering for no fault of their own. They accused, hated, and hoped that Demon Wood would willingly face death, ending the catastrophe. Clearly, the transcendent beings that descended from Beast Field number 8 were not only powerful, but also wise, knowing that undermining the morale was crucial. Destroying the humans' belief in order weakened the foundations of Demon Wood's power. Even though the leaders of the Beast Master Association reacted in time to suppress and control those harboring such thoughts, the seeds of hatred had already been sown. With a heavy sigh, Demon Wood emerged at the last moment of the day, appearing outside Yaohan City. Hidden within the army of transcendent beings, 3 semi-saints appeared in unison, attempting to jointly besiege Demon Wood. The ensuing battle was catastrophic, so much so that even the Beast Emperor dared not pry. After the battle, 1 semi-saint of Beast Field number 8 fell on the spot, while 2 were severely injured, and the whereabouts of Demon Wood remained unknown. The outcome was earth-shattering, leaving the army of transcendent beings from Beast Field number 8 dumbstruck, and Yaohan City fell eerily silent. While the humans of Beast Field number 47 were ecstatic at this turn of events, in just 2 days, the army of Beast Field number 8 regrouped, and like a ferocious dragon crossing the terrain, 2 more second-level towns fell in the blink of an eye. They did not spare the creatures of Beast Field number 47 just because Demon Wood appeared on time. Instead, they vented their anger from the loss of a semi-saint on Beast Field number 47, vowing to leave not a single living being to assert the might of the greater realm. Those impulsive humans only then realized their mistake and began to appreciate Demon Wood again. However, no matter how desperately they cried for the return of the missing Demon Wood, it never showed itself again. On the front lines, where Beast Field number 47 met Beast Field number 21, Suran and his 2 companions swiftly returned. Although this was not the border between Beast Field number 8 and Beast Field number 47, it was the route from Broken Abyss City to Beast Field number 47. As soon as he reached Beast Field number 47, Fang Kanghai's face took on an unprecedented gravity. Something unusual made him keenly aware of the crisis Beast Field number 47 was currently facing. Ultimately, they were too late. There are still 800 words, frantically typing away. Chapter 786, 374, The Lit Star Origin. Jaichuan had slain 6 semi-saints, which to the aggressive army of transcendent beings from Beast Field number 8 was akin to pouring a bucket of ice water onto raging flames. It was said that he slew the opposing semi-saint in front of all the transcendent beings. After this event, the army of transcendent beings from Beast Field number 8 showed signs of retreat for the first time. They not only gave up on further attacks, but also voluntarily withdrew from the already ruined Zhou Tian City and Bloody City, retreating back to Yaohan City, where they had initially positioned themselves. It seemed they became more low-profile, holding their ground within Yaohan City, no longer launching offenses, yet not continuing to retreat from Beast Field number 47, as if they were waiting for the Saints presiding over Beast Field number 8 to decide whether to continue the war. And the cause of all this, Jade received worshipful reverence from the human side of Beast Field number 47, though he himself was not keen on it. Jade only accepted a temporary residence in Xi'an City offered by Fang Kanghai. He refused all visits except for occasional sparring sessions with Su Ran at the Starfare Foster shop in Xi'an City, spending the rest of his time in his dwelling. On the other hand, Su Ran was not idle either. After the crisis was temporarily alleviated, he made use of the transmission function of Starfare Foster shop to promptly visit the other 3 branches within Beast Field number 47 to understand the battle situation, especially the branch in Monster Wooden City. This branch, following the migration of the Demon Wood Semi-Saint to the Monster Wooden Domain, had also changed location. After transmitting there, Su Ran tried to visit the Demon Wood Semi-Saint, but was informed that the Semi-Saint had not returned since that great battle. Even the Tortoise of Longevity, which was closest to the Demon Wood Semi-Saint, had no clue about the Semi-Saint's whereabouts. With no other option, Su Ran had to return to the Foster shop in Xi'an City, occasionally sparring with Jai Xuan out of curiosity about the sky-cleaving 6 sabers, and keeping a constant eye on the army of transcendent beings in Yaohan City. He hadn't forgotten that main Task 5 required him to help end this war. So aside from a heartfelt desire for peace like the other humans, he had another motive driving him to become more actively involved in this war. Time flew by, and 3 days passed in a blink of an eye. Today, as usual, Jai Xuan came to Su Ran carrying 2 wooden sabers, and soon they began sparring in the vast Foster area. Before long, as the 2 wooden sabers could not withstand the powerful swordsmanship and broke, the sparring session came to an end. "It's getting late," Jai Xuan said, throwing the handle of the saber onto the ground. "Unless something unexpected happens, the Saints of Beast Field number 8 should have made a decision by now." "What do you mean?" Su Ran blinked, asking curiously. "The army of transcendent beings from Beast Field number 8 staying in Shuanghan City is to report the situation here to their saints, who will decide the next course of action," Jai Xuan said calmly. "You haven't left yet. Do the saints really dare to let the army of transcendent beings mount a major assault on Beast Field number 47? Su Ran furrowed his brow, unable to help himself from asking. Unexpectedly, Jai Xuan's response surprised Su Ran. "Why wouldn't they dare?" Jai Xuan glanced at Su Ran. "Do you still remember what I said before I left? Below the level of a semi-saint, I won't make a move. It's not that I'm unwilling, but a hidden rule has long been established in the past standoffs between Beast Field number 8 and Broken Abyss Cities, Saint-level forces. Battles below the Saint level will not involve the Saints. Only a very few exist who dare to ignore this rule and attack beings weaker than themselves." As he said this, the image of the Loxan Holy Spirit surfaced in Jai Xuan's mind, his eyes showing a hint of strangeness. So as long as Beast Field number 8 does not dispatch any more semi-saints, only sending beast emperors or lower-ranked forces, as an epic-level beast master, I won't interfere in this battle anymore. The Demon Wood semi-saint here, being newly born, might be able to disregard this hidden rule and act against beast emperors to suppress the army of transcendent beings. But now the issue is, the Demon Wood semi-saint has gone missing. Jai Xuan looked at Su Ran. Listening to Jai Xuan's words, Su Ran's expression grew somber as well. He understood the meaning. The crisis of the semi-saints had been thoroughly resolved with Jai Xuan's arrival. But the army of transcendent beings from Beast Field number 8 would not simply call it quits. They could likely dispatch even more beast emperors and, using their numbers to overpower, could easily crush Beast Field number 47. With these thoughts, Su Ran spoke gravely. "Senior, I want to go take a look at the Cold Dragon River." The Cold Dragon River was the river that formed the border between Beast Field number 8 and number 47. If the army of transcendent beings sought to advance, they would have to cross that river. Now that Shuanghan City had been occupied, and it was impossible to plant spies from Beast Field number 47 in the Cold Dragon River further north, if the opposition were to secretly increase their troops and send stronger transcendent beings, Beast Field number 47 had to know immediately. However, it would be extremely dangerous for Su Ran to do this on his own. Together with his 5 companions, he was still no match for an overlord stage transcendent being, and the bright group staying in the Starfare Foster shop was merely for show. Therefore, he could only hope that Jai Chuan would be willing to help. By saying, "I want to," he was actually inviting the other party. "Let's go." Jai Chuan began walking toward the exit of the Foster area. "The sky-cleaving 6 sabers are quite exquisite. Unfortunately, there are only 5 of them. Having sparred with me for 3 days, I will accompany you on a trip." "Thank you, Senior." Su Ran rejoiced inwardly, quickly called his 5 little ones and followed behind Jai Chuan. Chapter 787-374, The Lit Star Origin. Stepping out of the Foster area, right behind Jai Chuan, a mighty figure with a saint spirit wheel of life flashed by and was gone. Following that, Su Ran and the 5 little ones felt the world spin around them, and in an instant they found themselves in another location. This was one of the pet beasts that Jai Chuan could use. Being of epic level, its leap attribute had a certain connection with space, which allowed it to realize short-distance shifts. No sooner had the man and his 5 beasts stabilized than the next shift began. In a short while, Jai Chuan and Su Ran had crossed numerous transcendent beings within Shuanghan City and appeared atop a hill near the cold Dragon River. Standing on the top of the hill, the entire situation of the cold Dragon River was in their view. After just one glance, Su Ran's expression became extremely serious, because the worst-case scenario seemed to be exactly as Jai Chuan had said. At this moment, a whole section of the cold Dragon River's riverbed had dried up, with the water being diverted toward both ends, forming towering pillars of water kept aloft by a beast emperor-level water dragon. Continually, transcendent beings surged from the other end of the riverbed, endlessly like the tides, pushing forward as much as possible to leave space for the transcendent beings behind them. Throughout the process there were no howls, no roars, only the heavy sounds of steps. Looking at the army of transcendent beings led by those at the leadership stage and the beast kings, seemingly endless in number, Su Ran's hand clenched instantly. The army of transcendent beings was being constantly reinforced in the rear, indicating that the worst situation had arisen. He had just thought to have Jai Chuan take him back to Xi'an City to quickly inform Fang Kanghai of the situation here, when suddenly his face changed. On the riverbed of the cold Dragon River, the advancing army of transcendent beings from the other side halted. Over 100 figures took to the air, swiftly flying in from the direction of the 8th beast field. Every one of those figures was unabashedly adorned with the imperial crown, evidently belonging to creatures of the emperor species. "All beast emperors." Su Ran was startled, but relaxed somewhat after careful observation. About a dozen of them were beast emperors, and the others were quasi-emperors of the overlord stage. There were also a few whose strength seemed weaker, appearing only to be of the king stage within the emperor species, but were nonetheless escorted at the very center, indicating a not insignificant status. Just as Su Ran was about to scrutinize further, a blinding brilliance suddenly burst forth beside him, and even the mere peripheral glimpse made him find it a bit dazzling. Turning his head, he saw the dumbstruck Star. The small, round stone hanging around Star's neck was emitting a brilliant glow. That was the source of Star. Su Ran's pupils contracted sharply. This resource came from the same location as the town Star Stone found in Chuanxing City. According to Chairman Qi Yuan of the Beast Master Association of Chuanxing City, it didn't have any strong effects by itself, but it could resonate powerfully with the town Star Stone. As long as a town Star Stone was nearby, it would burst forth with dazzling light. In the past, the source of Star would only light up when Su Ran was in Chuanxing City. However, the town Star Stone in Chuanxing City was closely associated with the city's star array, so he couldn't use it as an evolution material for Star. This was the first time the source of Star emitted such brilliant light somewhere other than Chuanxing City, and the implication was also very clear. A town Star Stone was nearby, and it had just appeared. Su Ran's gaze immediately turned toward the group of emperor species crossing the river at that moment. Without a doubt, one of them had the town Star Stone. And the light bursting from the source of Star exposed Su Ran's hidden position for the first time. One of the beast emperors who had just crossed the cold Dragon River hummed lowly, continuing to move forward, ready to slay Su Ran, this unexpected scout, and seal the news of their arrival. But as it truly approached the hill, upon seeing the figure behind Su Ran, its face turned to one of terror. This gargantuan and terrifying beast emperor knelt down in an instant. I have seen the sword saint. It had no choice but to kneel, as there were unwritten rules among saint-level forces, but the weak voluntarily provoking others was not among them. Its recent behavior had nearly offended Jaichuan. Without an immediate apology, Jaichuan could have slain it and still been within his rights. Jaichuan nodded calmly, a trace of regret flashing in his eyes. You've arrived quite quickly. The Beast Emperor, having caught that hint of regret, shuddered at his own swift reaction and felt fortunate. His voice even took on a somewhat obsequious tone. We are only acting upon the commands of the saint, and we hope for the sword saint's forgiveness. At this moment, a whole stretch of the cold Dragon River's bed was dried up, with the water diverted to both ends, forming towering columns of water. In midair, a Beast Emperor-level dragon was maintaining it. Continuously, transcendent beings surged from the other end of the riverbed, like an endless tide, making way as much as they could for the transcendent beings coming up behind them. The whole process was silent, without any howling or roaring, only the heavy sound of footsteps. Watching the army of transcendent beings, mainly composed of leader stage and beast kings and seemingly infinite in number, Su Ran's hand clenched instantly. The fact that the army of transcendent beings was continuously reinforced from the rear signified the worst-case scenario unfolding. He had just thought about asking Jai Xuan to take him back to Xi'an City to report the situation to Fang Kanghai when his expression suddenly changed. On the bed of the cold Dragon River, the army of transcendent beings crossing from the other side had halted their advance. Hundreds of figures floated in the air, speeding over from the direction of Beast Field 8. Every one of those figures proudly displayed the imperial crown, unmistakably all beings from the Emperor species. All beast emperors. Su Ran was startled, but after a careful observation he slightly relaxed. There were about a dozen beast emperors among them. The others were overlord stage quasi-emperors. There were a few whose strength seemed even weaker, appearing only to be at the king stage of the emperor species, but they were escorted in the very center, indicating they held no insignificant status. Just as Su Ran was about to examine them more carefully, an incredibly dazzling light suddenly burst forth beside him, and even the mere sight of it in his peripheral vision was somewhat blinding. He turned his head to look and saw the stunned star. At this moment, a small, rounded stone hanging around Star's neck was emitting a bright, radiant light. That was the star origin. Su Ran's pupils sharply contracted. This artifact came from the same place where the town star stone in Chuanxing City was found. According to Chairman Qi Yuan of the Beast Master Association in Chuanxing City, it didn't possess any significant power on its own, but could resonate strongly with the town star stone. As long as there was a town star stone within nearby range, it would burst into dazzling light. In the past, the star origin only emitted light when Su Ran was present in Chuanxing City. But the town star stone of Chuanxing City was integral to the protective star array of the city, so he couldn't use it as an evolution material for star. This was the first time the star origin had emitted such a dazzling light outside of Chuanxing City, and its implication was very clear. There must be a town star stone nearby, and it had just appeared. Su Ran's gaze immediately fell upon the group of emperor species who were crossing the river. Without a doubt, one of them had the town star stone on them. The light exploding from the star origin also immediately exposed Su Ran, who had been concealed until then. One of the beast emperors who had just crossed the cold Dragon River snorted lowly, continuing to move forward, ready to strike down Su Ran, the seemingly out-of-place scout, and seal off any news of their arrival. But as it came close to the small hill, upon seeing the figure standing behind Su Ran, the beast emperor's complexion immediately turned to one of terrified alarm. The colossal and terrifying beast emperor instantly knelt down. I have seen the sword saint. It had to kneel. Although there are unspoken rules among saint-level powers, the provocation by the weaker party was not included. Its recent behavior had nearly offended Jai Xuan. Without an immediate apology, Jai Xuan could have slain it and still been within his rights. Jai Xuan nodded calmly, a trace of regret flashing in his eyes. You've arrived quite quickly. The Beast Emperor, having caught that hint of regret, shuddered at his own swift reaction and felt fortunate. His voice even took on a somewhat obsequious tone. We are only acting upon the commands of the saint, and we hope for the sword saint's forgiveness. Chapter 788, 375. The town star stone arrives, star evolution. Do you all lack brains? The beast emperor, who had originally been speaking amicably with the crown prince, suddenly let out a roar, startling all the emperor species around him. This is an item deliberately demanded by a human semi-saint. Its gaze swept the crowd with a hint of ruthlessness, yet in Beast Field 47, we have no semi-saint. According to the unspoken rules, Elder Jai wouldn't normally attack us, bullying the weak, but if we provoke him first, his retaliation becomes justified. He wants a town star stone, doesn't he? What he really wants is an excuse to kill us, the Beast Emperor said gravely. Jai Chuan's presence here is actually to help Beast Field 47. He wouldn't miss any chance to strike. If we don't give it, not only will all of us inevitably perish here, but the more serious matter is that Beast Field 8 won't be able to destroy Beast Field 47. Even if you perish here, the families behind you will surely bear the boundless wrath of all saints. 100 deaths won't absolve your sins. His words left the other emperor species dumbfounded. It's just refusing resources. Is it really that serious? But after thinking it over more carefully, they couldn't help but be moved. Because what he said was indeed possible. For a moment, the emperor species who had been indifferent began to look towards the king stage royals who had refused to hand over the town star stone. This put the pressure on them. Of course, not all emperor species were swayed by his speech. The other beast emperor, standing firmly by the side of that king stage royal, spoke with a heavy voice. You make some sense, but the other party is the despicable and shameless humans. How can we bow to them? So what do you plan to do? The leading beast emperor countered calmly. Refuse, have all royals here killed, then call upon a semi-saint to battle them. Don't forget, Elder Jai just killed 6 semi-saints just a few days ago. What about the beast saint? The other beast emperor's expression darkened slightly. If the beast saint could descend here, why would we allow a mere epic-level beast master like Jai Xuan to be so arrogant? The leading beast emperor interrupted without hesitation. All saints are restrained by the human saint spirits. The guardian beast emperor fell silent for a moment. Then how can you ensure that this is Jai Xuan's last unreasonable demand? Do we have to fulfill whatever he asks for? Upon hearing this, the leading beast emperor's heart skipped a beat. Although the purpose of the speech he had just made was to persuade other emperor species to pressure the party in question, he began to feel somewhat uncertain himself as he spoke. Did Jai Xuan really want the town star stone, or was he just looking for an excuse to massacre them? Torn inside and thinking of what he knew about Jai Xuan's usual behavior, the leading beast emperor steeled himself. It's a gamble. If there are further unreasonable demands, I will perish before all of you. Hearing this, the guardian beast emperor by the king stage royal fell silent, shifting his gaze towards the king stage royal. The king stage royal cursed inwardly, but knew he had no other choice right now. He took out a gem that shimmered with regular starlight and countless crystal faces like mirrors, and tossed it to the leading beast emperor. Take it. The leading beast emperor secretly breathed a sigh of relief, and turned to fly towards Jai Xuan and Su Ran, who were waiting on the other side, all the while praying silently in his heart. Forefather Jai Xuan, I beseech you as my forefather, please don't make any more trouble. This is the town star stone, please review it, Sword Saint. He handed over the town star stone with the utmost respect, his demeanor even more obsequious than before, to the point where even Jai Xuan couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. See if it's what you wanted. Jai Xuan turned to Su Ran. And Su Ran was already beside himself with joy. Star did not speak, but through contractual sensing sent cheers one after another, along with the increasingly bright light of the source of stars. Everything indicated that the town star stone before them was genuine. Thank you, Elder Jai. Su Ran bowed gratefully to Jai Xuan and took the town star stone from the beast emperor. You at least are wise. Jai Xuan glanced at the beast emperor, who was trembling with fear, a hint of regret flashing in his eyes. Let's go. With that, the epic-level pet beast behind Jai Xuan slightly shimmered, taking Jai Xuan and one person along with 5 beasts away from the spot. As the figure vanished before their eyes, the beast emperor breathed a sigh of relief as if granted amnesty. The hint of regret from the other party at the moment of departure was unmistakable. It seems that the other party really did have the intention of seizing the opportunity to wipe out all emperor species in one fell swoop. Fortunately, he had seen through the other party's scheme. That's right, he had seen through the other party's scheme, which was why he persuaded the other royals to hand over the town's star stone. It certainly wasn't out of fear of being slain by Jai Xuan that he acted. The beast emperor straightened up and flew towards the other emperor species with justified indignation. Chairman Fang. Back in Xi'an City, Su Ran forcibly subdued the joy of obtaining the town's star stone and didn't forget the most important thing at the moment, immediately seeking out Fang Kanghai. Beast Field 8 has already sent reinforcements, and there is a significant number of beast emperors among them. He quickly reported what he had discovered to Fang Kanghai. Upon hearing the bad news, Fang Kanghai's expression also darkened considerably. It seems that a full-blown war is inevitable. I remember you mentioned to me before. Fang Kanghai glanced at Su Ran. You have prepared transport artifacts in each city's branch stores, but they can only transport yourself. Yes, Su Ran nodded. To better prepare for this war, he had revealed part of his abilities so Fang Kanghai could plan more effectively. If that's the case, Fang Kanghai meditated for a moment, then spoke, wait here for me. Later, help me send the battle plans to the other 3 cities with branch stores. Good, Qin Chuan agreed with a nod. Just in time, he was planning to go to Xuanxing City for Stars Evolution. Chapter 789, 376, The Stars Guide the Way Home. Chapter 790, 376, The Stars Guide the Way Home. Since revelation was sought, the higher the proficiency, the better the effect clearly would be. Stars Enlightenment Stardust level, 0100 plus. Stars Enlightenment Halo level, 1927-50000 plus. Watching stars, Enlightenment instantly advanced to Halo level. Su Ran nodded in satisfaction. Getting to Violent Sun level directly was too difficult, but reaching Halo level was still achievable. Star Begin. Zailu, no problem. With a neigh, Star's dark purple eyes suddenly shone with unparalleled brightness, filled with endless starlight, and the star patterns roaming around its body quietly froze, forming a complete star map. Immense power surged heavenward, momentarily drawing the stars in the firmament, and before Star's eyes, a scene converged with countless starlights emerged. As if by destiny, the messages echoing in its mind as a form of guidance. Soon all the anomalies dispersed, and Star, having received the revelation, savored the experience of its first use, and then conveyed the revelation to Su Ran. Beast Field number 76. Su Ran revealed a look of surprise. You mean the Demon Wood Semi-Saint is now in Beast Field number 76? Zailu tilde. Star shook its head slightly. The revelation had only provided it with the phrase, Beast Field number 76. Whether this meant the Demon Wood Semi-Saint was there couldn't be confirmed. I understand what you mean, Su Ran nodded slightly. But in his heart, he was inclined to believe that the Demon Wood Semi-Saint was currently in Beast Field number 76. After all, since the Demon Wood Semi-Saint's disappearance, both friend and foe had been searching for it, yet none had been successful. If the Demon Wood Semi-Saint wasn't in Beast Field number 47, everything would have a reasonable explanation. Could the Demon Wood Semi-Saint be in Beast Field number 76? Qi Yuan, who stood by, also heard the exchange between man and pet and showed a thoughtful expression. The place where Demon Wood Semi-Saint had fought the 3 Semi-Saints is in the northwest of Beast Field number 47. And Beast Field number 76 is located to the southeast of Beast Field number 47. In terms of distance, that would be the last place the Demon Wood Semi-Saint would likely go. Yet for that very reason, I even more believe the revelation Star received is correct. After all, only something sufficiently unexpected can remain undiscovered. The senior makes a good point, Su Ran nodded slightly. In that case, there's no time to waste. I plan to set out now. That's fine, Qi Yuan patted Su Ran on the shoulder. Being an overlord-level beast master, he couldn't stay away from Xuanxing City for long during this critical time, and even if he wanted to accompany Su Ran, it just wasn't possible. It was not just him. Other overlord-level beast masters had extremely important tasks to handle at this juncture. Therefore, Su Ran would need to make the journey alone this time. Luckily for Su Ran as he was now, this should not prove difficult. Beast Fields number 11 to 72 were Beast Emperor-level beast fields. Beast Field number 76 was merely a Beast King-level beast field. In such a beast field, Su Ran, with 2 King-stage Emperor species pet beasts, could easily sweep through once. Our Chuangsing City is located to the south of Beast Field number 47, relatively closer to Beast Field number 76, and there has been some minor exchange in the past. Qi Yuan pondered for a moment. I remember the association's archive room has some information on Beast Field number 76. Wait here for me. With that, he disappeared swiftly to the star guiding platform, returning about 10 minutes later with several documents in hand, which he passed to Su Ran. This is it. Though not much, it should be of some help to you. The most important thing inside is a complete map of Beast Field number 76. Good, Su Ran said no more, leapt onto Star's back, carrying the other 4 little ones, and in an instant turned into a shadow that vanished into the night. This speed, Qi Yuan couldn't help but click his tongue in admiration. Even transcendent beings proficient in speed at the Overlord stage would find it hard to catch up, right? With such speed, if everything goes smoothly, it won't be long before Su Ran can bring back the Demon Wood semi-saint. Thinking of such a possibility, Qi Yuan's heart couldn't help but fill with more anticipation. He only hoped that this catastrophe could end with as few casualties as possible. Evolution from king species to emperor species, and strength advance from general level to king stage. Star's power had increased tremendously compared to before. It not only gained new skills, but also saw a significant improvement in speed and other aspects. Guided by the stars above the sky, chasing stars and prayer of starry night took effect simultaneously. Star Oath connected Star's power with Su Ran's, further enhancing Star's abilities in all aspects. Already extremely adept at speed, at this moment, it seemed to have reached a certain limit in this respect. When it was sprinting at full speed, the numerous scenes around it flew backward like flowing water. Feeling the power of Star at this moment, Su Ran, who sat on its back, also felt a sense of joy. As the absolute support core of the team, Star's growth in strength wasn't just for itself. Xian and Kankan, who had reached King Stage, would receive a substantial increase in enhancement. Especially Xian, who, like Star, belonged to the Emperor species at the King Stage. With Star's full support now, even letting it clash with an Overlord stage might not be entirely impossible. Xian curled up lazily in Su Ran's arms, looking at the scenery retreating around it, yet its mind was thinking about other matters. When Star evolved, the praises Qi Yuan had for it echoed in Xian's ears and were etched in its heart. Having also evolved into the Emperor species, it now seemed to be surpassed by Star. Because Star had touched upon the leap attribute and was not far from the Holy Spirit race. And it had yet to show this kind of ability. Although it possessed dual attributes, those were clearly different from the leap attribute. The latter was obviously stronger than the former. So, what would its leap attribute be? With this question in mind, Xian was somewhat absent-minded for a moment, thinking about the leap attribute. With just one glance, Su Ran could tell what Xian was thinking about. They were too familiar with each other. Xian was the first to accompany Su Ran, and between the two, there was no need for many words. They already shared a deep tacit understanding. Meow tilde, indeed tilde. Xian lazily rubbed against the palm of Su Ran's hand. Actually, there are some clues to your leap attribute, Su Ran smiled. Think about divine punishment. Hearing the words divine punishment, a flicker of fear passed instinctively through Xian's eyes. But it understood what Su Ran meant. The power following divine punishment was undoubtedly strong. This power was neither thunder attribute nor fighting attribute, but rather a new, more formidable power that emerged from the fusion of the two. Unlike the current tranquil night, it was a kind of madness, as if it wanted to destroy everything with blackness. Fearful not only of the backlash from divine punishment, but also of the terrifying power it struggled to control, Xian felt a trace of dread. Was it to take such a power as its future leap attribute? Just the thought of it was a source of worry for Xian. Because it had a very clear premonition. If it truly mastered that power, it might no longer be the same creature it was now. Don't be in a hurry, this is just an idea. Seeing the fear in Xian's eyes, Su Ran's voice became even gentler. Actually, you don't need to consider the issue of evolution attributes. Since I was able to get the Emperor species evolution path, naturally, I will be able to get the Holy Spirit race evolution path in the future. He hadn't forgotten. During his first glimpse into the lottery drawing page, he saw that golden reward called Holy Spirit Race Evolution Path. Currently, he could only draw the lesser red rewards. But what about in the future? Chapter 791, 377 The Dying Tree, Rebirth of Life. Accompanied by a prolonged neigh, Star's rushing speed gradually slowed down, and eventually its blurred silhouette became clear as its physique, shrouded in starlight, exuded a robust sense of power. At this moment, it had reached the border between the 47th and 76th beast fields, an area composed of a forest of withered trees. Under the night sky, the bare branches resembled sinister, contorted claws, hiding pulsations that sent shivers down one's spine. Suran glanced at the withered wood forest close at hand and opened the map and information on the 76th beast field given to him by Qi Yuan. Before long, his voice slightly rose. A beast king lives here. Catch it and see if it knows about the whereabouts of the demon wood semi-saint. As he spoke these words, Suran couldn't help but feel a bit sentimental. Back when he was still in the 97th beast field, a beast king was an unreachable existence for him. Just the approach of a single beast king could bring a third-level town to the brink of destruction. But now, for him, the beast king level had become something he could manipulate at will. Xian didn't even bother to move. He waved a claw towards Cancan, who was itching to try, signaling that this minor character was enough for the third youngest to handle. "Cha, watch me." Cancan melded into the ground, disappearing swiftly. Shortly after, he returned easily, gripping a gigantic wolf covered in blood-red fur before Suran. The gigantic wolf beast king, radiating an aura of darkness, initially harbored a desire to resist, but upon seeing the imperial crowns of Xian and Star, it cowered like a trembling dog, lying obediently on the ground, daring not to move. Suran drew the Majui blade and casually swiped it near the gigantic wolf beast king's body, leaving a deep gash tens of meters long on the ground. He then thrust the blade's tip into the earth before the beast king and squatted down, peering into its eyes. "I'm going to ask you some questions. If you answer truthfully, I won't harm you." "Ask away. As long as I know, I'll tell you everything," the gigantic wolf beast king spoke, sensing an aura from this human even more terrifying than that of the emperor species. It dared not entertain any other thoughts and hurriedly pledged cooperation. Seeing this, Suran nodded in satisfaction. "Have you been living in this withered wood forest all this time?" "Yes, yes," the gigantic wolf beast king nodded fervently. "Recently, my lair has been deep within the withered wood forest. Except for the occasional foray out every 3 to 5 days to hunt, I don't leave." "Then in the past few days, have you seen any powerful creatures passing through here?" Suran's voice rose slightly. "Powerful creatures?" The gigantic wolf beast king pondered hard, but eventually shook its head. "The most powerful being that has passed by here lately is you." Suran stroked his chin, his expression contemplative. That made sense. If the demon wood semi-saint really passed through this place, it would have likely gone to great lengths to conceal its presence to avoid being detected. With its means, the gigantic wolf beast king wouldn't have been able to sense anything. Suran decided to change his line of questioning. "In that case, have you seen any plant-type transcendent beings, or found anything related to trees during this time?" The pupils of the gigantic wolf beast king constricted, a flicker of hesitation and conflict passing through its eyes. This did not escape Suran's notice. His heart leapt with joy and he immediately spoke in a stern voice. "Think carefully. If you conceal anything, you will undoubtedly die." The gigantic wolf beast king hesitated for a moment, then said slowly, "If I tell you, will you truly not kill me?" "You're not in a position to negotiate terms." "All right then." With a sigh in its heart, the gigantic wolf beast king spoke through gritted teeth. "Yesterday, as I roamed near the withered wood forest, I stumbled upon a treasure that seemed to be shaped like a branch." "A branch?" Suran felt a surge of excitement. "Show it to me quickly." "The branch is in my lair." The gigantic wolf beast king shrank back slightly. "Lead the way," Suran demanded without hesitation. With him and the 5 pets far surpassing the strength of the gigantic wolf beast king, and with intelligence pointing to no stronger presence nearby, he had no fear of deception. "Follow me." Having revealed his stroke of luck, the gigantic wolf beast king seemed to have resigned to its fate. Turning around, it led the way, with 1 man and 5 pets swiftly reaching the very heart of the withered wood forest, its lair. It was a massive hollowed tree with a pile of bones outside, belonging to humans as well as various transcendent beings. This gigantic wolf, easily manipulated by Suran and his 5 companions, had a fearsome reputation in the 76th beast field, and the withered wood forest had become a forbidden zone. The gigantic wolf beast king emerged from its lair, soon carrying a branch about 1 meter in length in its mouth, placing it before Su-ran. "This is what I found." On the branch surged vibrant life, enveloped in a mysterious power that made it look extraordinary. The branch sported lines of cyan and gold light, now quite dim but still clear. Seeing these patterns, Su-ran knew his guess was correct. This was indeed the branch left by the Demon Wood Semi-Saint. Worry crept over him. From the perspective of the Demon Wood Semi-Saint, it clearly wouldn't want its whereabouts to be exposed, making it unlikely to have deliberately left behind this piece of its branch. Most likely, it had been severely injured. Plant-type transcendent beings had a lower sensitivity to their own bodies compared to typical transcendent beings. They wouldn't feel pain from the loss of a branch or the fall of a leaf. Chapter 792, 377 The Dying Tree, Rebirth of Life. In such circumstances, it was very possible for the injured Demon Wood Semi-Saint to have fled in such haste that a branch dropped without his noticing. Holding this branch, Su-ran felt a slight heaviness in his heart. On this branch, there was a small fork that looked like the spot where a leaf would be attached, except that there was no leaf at the fork now. Considering that each leaf of the Demon Wood Semi-Saint held unfathomable power, capable of rewriting the order of an entire area in an instant, Su-ran couldn't help but wonder if the Demon Wood Semi-Saint had expended all his leaves in that terrible battle. As he fondled the branch, a stroke of inspiration struck him, and he took out a green leaf with golden patterns from his embrace. That was a leaf given to him by the Demon Wood Semi-Saint as a token of gratitude after he helped it evolve into the Holy Spirit race. The leaf itself had already reached the strength of an epic-level resource. According to the Demon Wood Semi-Saint, using this leaf, Su-ran could instantly rewrite the order of the surrounding area, but Su-ran had not encountered any danger since he got it, so the leaf had never been used. This time, in search of the Demon Wood Semi-Saint, Su-ran brought it with him, thinking that it might come in handy. Considering this might be the only remaining leaf of order from the Demon Wood Semi-Saint, Su-ran carefully attached the leaf onto the fork of the branch. A faint glimmer passed over, and the two fused together seamlessly. The leaf appeared as naturally attached to the branch as if it had grown there, with the golden patterns twinkling softly, like breathing, and the cyan golden patterns on the branch itself grew gradually brighter at that moment. When the patterns finally shone brightly, an indescribable, extremely weak attraction emerged from the branch in his hand. Feeling this faint attraction, Su-ran's eyes gleamed with joy. Although he didn't know the specific principle, this awakened segment of the branch seemed capable of sensing the current location of the Demon Wood Semi-Saint. Star hid that way. Without so much as glancing at the obediently prostrate gigantic wolf beast king lying on the ground, Su-ran, accompanied by the four little ones, mounted up and pointed in the direction from which the attraction came. Xylulu Tilda. Accompanied by Star's Winnie, 1 man and 5 pets vanished on the spot. The gigantic wolf beast king raised its head in bewilderment, staring in the direction of their disappearance, feeling utterly stupefied. Had they really set it free? "Keep moving forward." With Su-ran's slightly urgent voice, Star's figure turned into a blur in the 76th beast field, so fast that even the Beast King couldn't catch its trail. As Su-ran got closer to the direction from which the attraction was coming, the attraction from the branch in his hand grew stronger and stronger. At that moment, the cyan golden patterns on the branch were lightly trembling, as if expressing excited emotions. It was getting closer and closer. Su-ran was absolutely certain that the Demon Wood Semi-Saint was somewhere ahead. It couldn't be wrong. "Stop!" A thunderous shout came from the side, and a massive figure swiftly appeared, chasing in their direction. Without waiting for it to speak, Su-ran casually tossed Xian, who had been in his embrace. A flash of thunder, a booming sound erupted, and the transcendent being, brimming with king-level pinnacle strength, was blasted away by Xian's palm before Su-ran could even make out its outline, charred and lifeless. Catching Xian, who flashed back to his side, Su-ran didn't look back, one hand still gripping the branch sensitively, his eyes fixed intently ahead. In a secluded and unremarkable little valley, a narrow path was revealed before his eyes. As soon as he stepped into the valley, Su-ran saw the figure of the Demon Wood Semi-Saint. However, the state of the Demon Wood Semi-Saint was far worse than Su-ran had imagined. Its once massive stature was severely shrunken, only 3 to 4 meters tall, shorter than many ordinary trees, with not a single leaf on its body, and the cyan golden patterns on its branches and trunk nearly completely dimmed, barely visible. This state was even worse than the state of the branch in Su-Ran's hand. Clearly, the state of the demon wood semi-saint hiding behind this mountain valley had not improved. Instead, it was getting worse. Dismounting, Su-Ran walked step by step to the front of the demon wood semi-saint. The silent body of the demon wood semi-saint did not react to his approach, and even when Su-Ran placed his hand gently upon the demi-saint's trunk, there was no sign of awakening. On its body, Su-Ran could only feel an extremely weak life force, like a candle flame in the wind, about to be extinguished at any moment. If they had arrived any later, the demon wood semi-saint might have truly perished here. Thinking of this, Su-Ran felt a heavy sinking in his heart. Indeed, even with the demonic wood semi-saint's high talent, facing 3 adversaries at this stage was still too much to bear. Taking a deep breath, Su-Ran picked up the tree branch with a leaf hanging from it, and imitating the way the demon wood semi-saint had wielded its power, he spoke softly. "May this place speed up the recovery of wounds." Crack tilde. Accompanied by a soft crackling sound, the golden-patterned green leaf instantly transformed into points of light that spread out, enveloping the entire space around them, as the immeasurable power of order descended. The order of this place was rewritten in an instant, and the healing of wounds accelerated. Su-Ran watched the still silent demon wood semi-saint nervously, his heart in his throat. As time ticked by, the power of order within the leaf was rapidly depleting, and once the last speck of light dimmed, the order of the surroundings returned to normal. Looking at the still silent demon wood semi-saint, with the green and golden light on its twig remaining unlit, Su-Ran's spirit plummeted. Could it be that even this cannot revive the demon wood semi-saint? This was the most effective method he could think of at the moment. If this couldn't help, all Su-Ran could do was to once again ask Jai Chuan for assistance. But as he understood, neither of the 2 epic-level pet beasts Jai Chuan had at his disposal at the moment had the ability to heal. So even if Jai Chuan was to lend a hand, they could only take the demon wood semi-saint to Broken Abyss City for treatment. Setting aside whether there was enough time, for the demon wood semi-saint, Broken Abyss City might not even be safe. After all, thinking of the scant information Jai Chuan had disclosed over the past days while sparring with him, Su-Ran's expression grew more and more grim. Could it be that there really was no way to save the demon wood semi-saint? Just when Su-Ran was at a loss, a faint voice echoed throughout the mountain valley. "The power of order is not to be used like this." Hearing this familiar voice, Su-Ran's head shot up, looking at the demon wood semi-saint before him with surprise and joy. "Senior Yu." The massive power from the earth around them surged, cutting his words short. Can was dumbfounded beside him. At this moment, it could clearly feel, throughout the entire valley, and even from extremely far beyond it, countless earth attribute powers converging toward this spot, as if they were being devoured by a black hole, ceaselessly pouring into the body of the demon wood semi-saint. Under this terrifying force, the body of the demon wood semi-saint began to grow. The life force flickering like a candle flame rapidly turned into a raging inferno within a very brief period. The brink of death was averted in an instant. Its body stretched comfortably as it grew from a weak, small tree of 3 to 4 meters high to towering giant tree hundreds of meters tall. Although not as grand as in its prime, it had regained a considerable amount of its strength. An ethereal face appeared in the void, eyes smiling as it looked at Su-Ran. "I never imagined that a modest gift I once gave would not aid you but instead help myself. Were it not for that trace of the power of order, I would probably have completely succumbed here until the very last of my life's fire was extinguished." "Senior, have you recovered?" Su-Ran said, his face flushed with excitement. Chapter 793, 378, Broken Realm Core. Earth Attribute Power. Su-Ran's eyes widened abruptly as he belatedly realized the problem. The demon wood semi-saint's attribute had already changed from the original earth attribute to the order attribute after evolving into the Holy Spirit race. Saints, while possessing the leap attribute, were supposed to completely abandon their original attributes. So it shouldn't have absorbed the earth attribute power so easily. "Senior, you," Su-Ran suddenly found his voice strained, "are you no longer part of the Holy Spirit race?" "You could say that." The demon wood semi-saint spoke softly, looking at the young man before it. "You've seen what just happened. My injuries are severe, my life force flickering like a candle in the wind, at risk of being extinguished at any moment. The power of order is strong, but it is not omnipotent. At least, it is far inferior to the earth attribute in this respect. The earth attribute is the ground, the origin of life. It harbors an inexhaustible, majestic life force, and only it can help me break the current deadlock and rally once more. The sliver of power you brought me has awakened my dormant consciousness, and with it, I have successfully completed another transformation of my attribute. The demon wood semi-saint explained as it continued to grow taller. Its aura was gradually becoming stronger, recovering to the level of a beast emperor. Then, Senior, do you still have a chance to return to your original strength? Su Ran couldn't help but ask. Is there a chance for you to change back to the leap attribute and then evolve back? Yes, the demon wood semi-saint spoke quietly, but it won't be the order attribute again. Each leap attribute is unique, and even among the same race and evolution, there is a unique understanding of the leap attribute. To revert to the original attribute is to seal off one's past path. The voice of the demon wood semi-saint was solemn. To evolve back into the Holy Spirit race, I need to find another way. Seeing the worried expression on Su Ran's face, the demon wood semi-saint suddenly smiled. But don't worry, even if I fall back to the Emperor stage, I will not be comparable to an ordinary beast emperor. After all, I once stepped into the domain of the saints, the demon wood semi-saint said confidently. I will personally annihilate the beast emperors that threaten us from beast field number 47. Senior, I'm not worried about that, Su Ran said, shaking his head helplessly. Hearing this, the demon wood semi-saint stared steadily at Su Ran and then chuckled lightly, extending a branch to gently touch Su Ran's forehead. You're a good kid. As it reverted to its original attribute, new green leaves hung from its branches, and upon touching Su Ran, a rich and majestic life force unfurled, revitalizing the weary Su Ran in an instant. The gift I once gave you has now been returned in full, and it has once again helped me greatly, the demon wood semi-saint said softly. I don't know how to thank you properly. If you can drive back the invading beast emperors from beast field number 8, that will be enough for me, Su Ran replied, shaking his head slightly to indicate he required no thanks. He hadn't come here for that. Having said that, I'd feel troubled if I didn't show some gratitude. The demon wood semi-saint pondered for a moment, then extended a branch on which hung a colorful, shattered glaze. Fighting 3-on-1 was far beyond my own abilities. So even though I won that battle, I also lost. I used up all of the resources I had once obtained, but they were not enough to save myself. Only this item, which I could not recognize, remained untouched. Now that I no longer have a use for it, I shall gift it to you, said the demon wood semi-saint with a hint of expectation. I think, in your hands, it will truly serve its purpose. Su Ran stared at the strange yet somewhat familiar resource, his eyes widening in surprise. Could this be the Broken Realm Core? His expression became complicated in an instant, and he couldn't help but turn to look at 12, whose face was filled with excitement. The Broken Realm Core was the last evolution material needed for 12's evolution. This material was very mysterious. In Beast Field number 47, Su Ran had been unable to find much information about it. It was only when he had recently entered Broken Abyss City and attempted to exchange evolution resources for his pet beast that he first received information and images of the Broken Realm Core. The last time the Broken Realm Core had appeared in Broken Abyss City was over 100 years ago. In a sense, it was even rarer and more elusive than the town Star Stone. It was the core left behind by a naturally shattered mini-space, lingering at the edges of the world, and only the Holy Spirit race, with their leap attribute and its relevance to space, had a slight chance of capturing it. Su Ran had been prepared to search for it with even greater effort once affairs here were settled, perhaps even with the help of Broken Abyss City's resources to a certain extent. Who would have thought that the Broken Realm Core would appear in front of him so dramatically? It seems you recognize it. The demon would semi-saint nudge the Broken Realm Core closer. Since that's the case, take it. Thank you, Senior. Su Ran took the Broken Realm Core. If it were any other resource, he might not have accepted it. But this resource was too important for 12. He had to take it. What's the situation in Beast Field number 47 now? The demon wood semi-saint continued its recovery while slowly speaking. Tell me about it. All right. Su Ran tucked the Broken Realm Core away, and then recounted what had transpired after the demon wood semi-saint's disappearance. Chapter 794, 378 Broken Realm Core. At this moment, I'm afraid I'm already being overlooked by the beast field number 8, and this neglect is my greatest reliance and advantage. I must continue to exert it. Suran simply pondered for a moment, and then understood what Demon Wood Semi-Saint meant, immediately nodding. Then, Senior, take great care. I'll go and inform Senior Fang and the rest about this news. Go ahead. Demon Wood Semi-Saint watched Suran enter Chuangsing City, then took a deep breath and his figure swiftly vanished from the spot. O Saints, I shall make a comeback. What? You found Demon Wood Semi-Saint and even revived it? Hearing Suran's report, Qi Yuan's eyes widened. Yes, Suran nodded. However, its power cannot return to the semi-saint level. It's more than good enough that it has come back. Qi Yuan waved his hand. With Demon Wood Semi-Saint still around, the transcendent beings within Beast Field number 47 will have a pillar of support. For us, this is already incredibly good news. Facing external threats, humans and transcendent beings of Beast Field number 47 set aside their hatred for each other and joined forces for the first time, unexpectedly achieving Demon Wood Semi-Saint's former goal. However, the transcendent beings did not obey humans' commands, nor did they have a pillar of support to stand out, greatly diminishing their strength following the disappearance of Demon Wood Semi-Saint. Now that Demon Wood Semi-Saint has returned, at least there's no need to worry about this anymore. So now, has Demon Wood Semi-Saint returned to the Monster Wooden domain? Yes. Suran nodded and conveyed Demon Wood Semi-Saint's thoughts to Qi Yuan. Demon Wood Semi-Saint does not want to reveal its revival just yet. Its neglect by Beast Field number 8 allows it to become the most crucial trump card in this battle. Furthermore, it needs more time to strengthen itself. I understand. Qi Yuan pondered briefly and realized the advantages of this approach, chuckling and stroking his chin. I promise within Xuanxing City, only I will know about this. You should go now and report back to Fang Kanghai. Yes, Suran nodded and took his leave. Before long, with the transmission array of Starfare Foster Care Shop, he had already arrived in Xi'an City. What? Hearing Suran's report, Fang Kanghai too was astounded. I only asked you to deliver a message. What? You found Demon Wood Semi-Saint and even revived it? Hearing Suran's report, Qi Yuan's eyes widened. Yes, Suran nodded. However, its power cannot return to the semi-saint level. It's more than good enough that it has come back. Qi Yuan waved his hand. With Demon Wood Semi-Saint still around, the transcendent beings within Beast Field number 47 will have a pillar of support. For us, this is already incredibly good news. Facing external threats, humans and transcendent beings of Beast Field number 47 set aside their hatred for each other and joined forces for the first time, unexpectedly achieving Demon Wood Semi-Saint's former goal. However, the transcendent beings did not obey humans' commands, nor did they have a pillar of support to stand out, greatly diminishing their strength following the disappearance of Demon Wood Semi-Saint. Now that Demon Wood Semi-Saint has returned, at least there's no need to worry about this anymore. So now, has Demon Wood Semi-Saint returned to the Monster Wooden domain? Yes. Suran nodded and conveyed Demon Wood Semi-Saint's thoughts to Qi Yuan. Demon Wood Semi-Saint does not want to reveal its revival just yet. Its neglect by Beast Field number 8 allows it to become the most crucial trump card in this battle. Furthermore, it needs more time to strengthen itself. I understand. Qi Yuan pondered briefly and realized the advantages of this approach, chuckling and stroking his chin. I promise within Xuanxing City, only I will know about this. You should go now and report back to Fang Kanghai. Yes, Suran nodded and took his leave. Before long, with the transmission array of Starfare Foster Care Shop, he had already arrived in Xi'an City. What? Hearing Suran's report, Fang Kanghai too was astounded. I only asked you to deliver a message. Chapter 795-379. The City on the Brink, Kankan evolves. There was one thing that took Suran by surprise. As the transcendent beings from Beast Field number 8 clashed with those from Beast Field number 47, the business at the Foster shop not only remained unharmed, but actually became even more prosperous. In this world, top-notch washing and protection could keep a pet beast in peak condition at all times, which could make a significant difference in battle, potentially increasing its strength by 20 to 30%. Knowing well that a sharp knife does not hinder the work of chopping wood, beastmasters would bring their pet beasts to the Foster shop for thorough grooming before each campaign. Even the wild, transcendent beings from the Monster Wooden domain wanted to receive washing and protection. At this moment, when the relationship between the wild transcendent beings and the humans was as smooth as oil, such requests could be satisfied. As a result, as the battle raged on, the pleasure value and various resources Su-Ran collected through the branch stores skyrocketed. A month had passed since the semi-saint of the demon would regain some of its power, and secretly return to the monster wooden domain in a brand new guise. During this month, the beast emperors within the army of transcendent beings from Beast Field number 8 did not fully engage in battle. They acted more like commanders behind the scenes, directing endless waves of transcendent beings to assault every corner of Beast Field number 47. The humans, cooperating with the original inhabitants of Beast Field number 47, attempted to resist, but it was difficult to bridge the gap in overall strength between the two sides. As Beast Field number 47 suffered defeat after defeat on the front line, cities gradually fell, and the fortified positions of transcendent beings were cleared and occupied by beings from Beast Field number 8. In the face of such a large-scale battle, the significance of individual combat power was diluted to an extreme. Even when Fang Kanghai personally took action, there was only so much he could do. During this month, Su-Ran had not been idle either. He went to the front line on his own initiative, sharing a part of the logistics work, and together with other volunteer caretakers, provided washing and protection for the transcendent beings engaged in the frontline battle. With his strength, he could also join the fight, leading his 5 little pet beasts to hone their combat skills and fight valiantly. Whether it was Star's supportive power or Xion's absolute lethality, both commanded attention from the transcendent beings of Beast Field number 8. Can, at full strength, became massive during one of the battles, and its terrifying body type gave it a crushing advantage on the battlefield. Sheer and Yinghuo might not have been as eye-catching, but their performance was still notable. As a result, Su-Ran and his 5 pet beasts inevitably drew attention. Every battle saw an increasing number of transcendent beings heading his way. The Beast Emperor still held back from attacking, but the Quasi-Emperors did strike several times. However, the Overlord-level Beast Masters on their own side would naturally not sit by and watch. Su-Ran was a key figure that they looked after, and his contribution to the battle was evident for all, so they naturally would not let him fall into danger. Thus, in several major battles, Su-Ran had close calls but emerged unscathed. Due to the urgency of the situation, Su-Ran no longer distributed resources every half-month as he had been doing. Instead, he used whatever resources he had on hand, and he immediately went for a 10 consecutive drawing if there was enough pleasure value. To always have Lucky Fish's good fortune available, he secretly arranged with Fang Kanghai to have Qin can join the team as his deputy. Although Fang Kanghai did not understand why, he readily agreed to Su-Ran's minor request without a second thought. As a result, Qin Kan, who was sitting at home, was inexplicably conscripted. Over the past month, Qin Kan lost count of the number of times Su-Ran had tapped his shoulder, to the point where he began to question the other's sexual orientation, shuddering each night and deeply questioning the correctness of provoking Su-Ran initially. Although it was like vigorously pulling at a lucky fish, the results were significant. Kan and Sheer had both achieved all 4 stars in their talent skills, and even satisfied the additional requests for their evolution condition. With the evolution resources already gathered, they were now only 1 evolution ritual away from evolving. Yinghuo had also obtained its Emperor species evolution path and began working toward evolution, but this was not something that could be completed in a short period, so Su-Ran temporarily set it aside. To meet the stringent condition of having 10,000 devout followers, Sheer began its attempt on the first day it was sent to the battlefield. After several setbacks, it finally set its sights on those wounded transcendent beings and pet beasts. Having suffered incurable injuries in battle, their combat power was greatly reduced, and they had to temporarily leave the front lines. They were in the most despondent period of their lives, with Sheer addressing their emotions and using the power of dreams to exhaust all means to dispel the negativity in their hearts. However, in the realm of dreams, it did not appear as itself, but instead fabricated a brand new persona called the Dream God. In this manner, as these transcendent beings gradually recovered from their pain and despondency, the image of the Dream God became deeply engraved in their minds as the object of their gratitude. With a little guidance, they could be converted into believers. When they truly began to devoutly worship the Dream God, as the entity linked to the image of the Dream God, Sheer would be the first to sense it. Although it had not officially begun evolving, it seemed that through this connection, it could already draw some peculiar, extraordinary transcendent power from its followers. Chapter 796, 379, The City on the Brink, Can evolves. It was exhausted every day, yet full of motivation. To this day, 12 had already obtained more than 5,000 devout followers. All it needed was to keep striving until it reached 10,000 followers, and then its evolution ritual could officially begin. On the other side, Can was waiting too. Its evolution required the cooperation of an entire city. During the current period of war, it was difficult for Su Ran to make such an excessive request to others, so he needed to wait for the right opportunity. Fortunately, after a month of waiting, Can finally saw the right moment when all the evolution conditions were met. In a super large military tent at the front line, an urgent meeting was underway. The attendees included Fang Kanghai, the overlord-level beast masters at the front, as well as a group of beast emperors from the side of the transcendent beings, and other personnel who bore important responsibilities at various pivotal points of the war front. Su Ran participated in this meeting as the head of the logistics department. At this moment, Qi Yuan and a quasi-emperor from the side of the transcendent beings were glaring at each other furiously. It looked like they were about to come to blows. Champing City is surrounded by the army of Beast Field number 8. Within our ability, we naturally need to provide assistance, Qi Yuan said sternly. Not only are there over 100,000 beast masters stationed there, but it's also an essential route that connects us to other cities. If Champing City is completely occupied, we'd lose a very important stronghold. Not only would we lose part of our beast master combat power, but communication with other cities would also be affected. So easy for you to say, the Quasi-Emperor snorted. With so many transcendent beings surrounding Champing City and even the presence of beast emperors, it's clearly a trap. Rescue? How many lives are you planning to use for this rescue? The Quasi-Emperor's roar echoed through the tent, leaving Qi Yuan speechless for a moment. Indeed, this was the crux of the matter. To rescue this 3-level city, the losses might very well exceed the gains. For a moment, the military tent was filled with leaders of varied expressions. Although Champing City was a 3-level city, due to its critically located position on the warfront, it had received special attention. There not only were large amounts of war supplies stored, but it also housed a significantly larger and more powerful group of beast masters than a typical 3-level city. This important position should have only been known to the real core existences of Beast Field number 47. But somehow, Beast Field number 8 had managed to find out about this city using unknown means. In a large-scale confrontation between both sides 2 days prior, the transcendent being army of Beast Field number 8 secretly split some forces and took advantage of the situation to surround Champing City. They didn't attempt to enter, but instead, after the confrontation ended, they kept increasing the number of troops around Champing City, even having several beast emperors make an appearance. Such a tactic was a clear provocation to the allied forces of Beast Field number 47. I know how important Champing City is to you, so do you dare to come? After a moment of silence, Fang Kanghai, seated at the head, slowly began to speak. If Champing City falls, the allied forces at the front might be in danger of being attacked from both front and rear. We are already at a disadvantage now, fighting and retreating, with our front constantly being pushed back. If we lose Champing City, just like a frog being slowly boiled, our main forces will inevitably be defeated. Therefore, Champing City must be saved. Fang Kanghai's gaze swept across the room. Not only must it be saved, but we also need to relocate Champing City to a safer place. In doing so, we won't have similar situations in the future. I have already chosen a new location for Champing City, equally important, and 10,000 miles away from the original site of Champing City. Hearing this, Su Ran, who had been quietly listening, was moved and without hesitation spoke out. My pet beast can take care of moving Champing City. Although its strength is not on par with Overlord Stage Earth attribute pet beasts, it has an unrivaled advantage in this matter. A pair of eyes turned towards him in the military tent. They were naturally aware of Kankan's remarkable performance during this time. With its terrifying body type, it could even carry Champing City to relocate it. Suddenly, many looked intrigued. Agreed. Fang Kanghai pondered for a moment and slowly nodded, consenting to Su Ran's offer to volunteer. When they truly began to devoutly believe in the dream god, As the entity connected to the image of the dream god, 12 would be the first to be aware. Although the evolution had not officially started, it seemed to already obtain some wonderful, extraordinary transcendental power from its believers through this connection. This kept it tired, yet motivated every day. As of today, 12 had gained over 5,000 devout believers. All it needed was to keep striving. Once it reached 10,000 believers, its evolution ritual could officially commence. On the other side, Can was also waiting. Its evolution required the cooperation of an entire city. In the current era of war, it was difficult for Su-Ran to make such an excessive request to others, so he had to wait for the right opportunity. Fortunately, after a month of waiting, as soon as Can met the evolution conditions, such a moment finally arrived. In a massive tent at the front lines, a strategic meeting was underway. The attendees included Fang Kanghai and frontline overlord-level beast masters, as well as a host of beast emperors from the side of the transcendent beings, and key personnel shouldering important responsibilities at various strategic points of the war. Su-Ran attended this meeting as the head of the logistics department. At this moment, Qi Yuan and a quasi-emperor from the side of the transcendent beings glared at each other, on the verge of conflict. Champing City is besieged by the armies of Beast Field Number 8, and within our capacity, we naturally need to provide support, Qi Yuan spoke solemnly. Not only are there over 100,000 beast masters stationed there, but it's also an essential passage for connecting with other cities. If Champing City is completely taken, we will lose a vital stronghold. We would not only lose some of our beast master combat power, but our communications with other cities would also be affected. You make it sound so easy, the quasi-emperor snorted. The number of transcendent beings surrounding Champing City is daunting, and even beast emperors have appeared. This is clearly a trap. Rescue? How many lives are you planning to spend to save them? The quasi-emperor's roar reverberated within the tent, leaving Qi Yuan momentarily at a loss for words. Indeed, this was the crux of the problem. Saving the three-level city would likely result in losses exceeding any potential gains. For a moment, a mix of expressions played across the faces of the influential figures in the tent. Although Champing City was a three-level city, it was exceptionally crucial due to its strategic location at the throat of the battlefront, and thus received special attention. It stored not only a large amount of war supplies, but was also garrisoned with a number of powerful beastmasters, far exceeding that of a typical three-level city. Such a vital location should only have been known by the true core of Beast Field Number 47. But somehow, Beast Field Number 8 managed to uncover the details of this city. In a large-scale confrontation between the two sides 2 days ago, the transcendent being army of Beast Field Number 8 secretly divided their forces and took the opportunity to surround Champing City. They did not attempt entry, but instead continually increased their troop numbers around Champing City after the confrontation, even summoning several beast emperors to show themselves. Such actions were an overt provocation against the allied forces of Beast Field Number 47. We know Champing City is very important to you, so do you dare to come? After a moment of silence, Fang Kanghai, seated in the highest place, slowly began to speak. If Champing City falls, our frontline army might find itself in danger of being attacked from both front and rear. We are already at a disadvantage, retreating as we fight, with our front lines continually pulling back. If we lose Champing City as well, it would be like boiling frogs in warm water. Our main forces will inevitably suffer defeat. Therefore, we must save Champing City. Fang Kanghai's gaze swept over the assembly. Not only must we save it, but we must also relocate Champing City to a safer place. In doing so, similar situations will not occur in the future. I have already chosen the new location for Champing City, also a position of utmost importance, and it is 10,000 miles away from the original site of Champing City. Hearing this, Su-Ran, who had been quietly listening, felt moved and spoke without hesitation. My pet beast can undertake the relocation of Champing City. Although its power is not as great as an Overlord Stage Earth attribute pet beast, it has an unparalleled advantage in this task. A dozen pairs of eyes turned his way in the tent. Kan's remarkable performance in recent times was well known to them. With the terrifying body type of that pet beast, it could even carry Champing City during the relocation. Many showed an intrigued expression at the proposal. Agreed, Fang Kanghai pondered momentarily, then nodded slowly, consenting to Su-Ran's offer to volunteer. Chapter 797 380 Battle, Feathered Dragon Crown Prince. Courageous humans. After Fang Kanghai's challenge echoed for a brief few breaths, a voice transmitted from the army of transcendent beings within Beast Field Number 8. One after another, the Beast Emperors rose into the air, appearing in front of Fang Kanghai with as many as 17 in total. The leading Beast Emperor was none other than the one that had dealt with Jai Xuan before, known as the Xuanlong Beast Emperor. Unlike its submissive tone with Jai Xuan, at this moment, facing an equally matched opponent like Fang Kanghai, it displayed its own dignity and arrogance. Even the Emperor-level Beast Master from Broken Abyss City wouldn't dare to be so presumptuous in front of us. The Xuanlong Beast Emperor growled lowly, scanning the opponents from Fang Kanghai's side. Its gaze lingered a moment longer on the figure draped in a black robe, a trace of puzzlement emerging in its eyes because to its perception, the opponent seemed void of any strength, like an ordinary human. However, it quickly dismissed this doubt, baring its teeth and mercilessly sneering. Humans, is this all the strength Beast Field Number 47 has? Where are the Beast Emperors that once submitted to the Semi-Saint Demon Wood? Have they disappeared like their master? Sharp-tongued, the figure in the black robe spoke in a low voice. Before the Xuanlong Beast Emperor could react, the figure had already flashed before it. The Xuanlong Beast Emperor's pupils contracted slightly. It hadn't even seen the opponent make a move. And the next instant, it felt a pain in its body as its massive form was blasted towards the ground like a cannonball, crashing into its own ranks, stirring up a great cloud of blood, mist, and dust. The entire battlefield fell silent at this sudden turn of events. Suddenly swirling its wings to disperse the dust, the Xuanlong Beast Emperor burst out of the ground and flashed back to its original position, its dragon scales marked with cracks and blood, no longer composed, staring intently at the black robe. "Who are you?" The other Beast Emperors from the same camp, as the Xuanlong Beast Emperor, also changed their expressions at this moment. For the Xuanlong Beast Emperor to be the leader among the present Beast Emperors, it relied on absolute strength. Yet now, it was so easily blasted away, without even the ability to block. Who exactly was that person? Could it be? One of the Beast Emperors suddenly gasped, as if realizing something, and spoke in a grave voice. "Jai Xuan, do you think you can so brazenly ignore the rule that a semi-saint cannot enter the fray just by hiding your identity?" Upon hearing this, Fang Kanghai's mouth twitched slightly. Jai Xuan. Indeed, the other had come to the scene. However, Jai Xuan had not made a move, merely observing the battle from another location. One wondered how Jai Xuan would react to such questioning. The next moment, Fang Kanghai knew. A blade light flashed from afar, slicing the Beast Emperor who had spoken into two, while Jai Xuan's indifferent voice came from the other side, "Speaking my name so disrespectfully, you shall be executed." On another mountain peak, Jai Xuan's figure emerged. He did not continue his attack, hands behind his back. He simply watched quietly as if his previous move was just for punishing the disrespect. Seeing this scene, the expressions of the Beast Emperors from Beast Field Number 8 were exceedingly ugly. They didn't pity the fool who had just courted death. Knowing that Jai Xuan had not left Beast Field Number 47 and still daring to speak so boldly, his death was a waste. What they truly cared about was that the figure in the black robe was not Jai Xuan. This meant that the battle had taken on some unexpected turns. "You, who exactly are you?" The Xuanlong Beast Emperor shifted its gaze from Jai Xuan, staring intensely at the black robe, its eyes filled with seriousness. It still could not sense any trace of the opponent's presence. But the fact that the opponent had instantly blasted it away earlier was certainly not a dream. This could only mean one thing. It meant that the opponent was much stronger than it. "Who am I?" The figure in the black robe chuckled with a hint of mockery. "You come for me, yet you do not know who I am." As it spoke, the figure's hood was lifted to reveal a wooden-faced treant underneath the black robe. An imposing aura surged from its body, washing over every Beast Emperor from Beast Field Number 8 like a massive wave. A spear covered in leaf patterns emerged in its hand. Grasping the spear firmly, the treant's eyes narrowed, and in the next instant it appeared before the Xuanlong Beast Emperor. "It's you." The heart of the Xuanlong Beast Emperor filled with alarm. It uttered a roar of shock and rage. The Semi-Saint Demon would. It hadn't been able to react to the previous strike, completely caught off guard by the opponent's strength. But now that it was being approached again, the Xuanlong Beast Emperor naturally wouldn't sit idle. Its dragon scales glowed fiercely, its body rapidly surging with power, its claws shining with a sharp chill as it harshly grasped towards the incoming spear. Boom! Warding off an attack and flying back dozens of meters, the Xuanlong Beast Emperor was not startled but pleased, because at the moment of the collision, it had finally felt the opponent's strength. The Earth attribute power sparked many connections in its mind. It's you indeed. As the Xuanlong Beast Emperor called out the origin of the semi-saint demon wood, the other Beast Emperors simultaneously turned pale. What are you waiting for? The deputy to the Xuanlong Beast Emperor, another Beast Emperor, roared, attack together. Although their primary mission in coming here was to raise Beast Field number 47 to the ground to showcase their domain's might. But with the reappearance of the semi-saint demon wood, they naturally had to adapt their mission. Everyone knew that capturing the semi-saint demon wood was even more crucial than leveling Beast Field number 47. The other 14 Beast Emperors said nothing, and immediately attacked the semi-saint demon wood from all directions, attempting to encircle and annihilate him. Chapter 798-380 Battle, Feathered Dragon Crown Prince. But before they could make their move, a series of figures swiftly descended, intercepting most of them in an instant. Feng Kanghai, holding a long staff, stood in front of the three Beast Emperors. Blood, essence, force, and divine sense surged around him as his eyes gleamed sharply. Do you really think so little of me? As the standoff among the Beast Emperors unfolded, clashes at the Overlord stage also erupted in full. One after another, Overlord-level Beast Masters appeared on the battlefield, summoning all their Overlord-level pet beasts and charging into the fray. The elite forces of the 47th Beast Field Alliance, well-organized and ready, now found their own opponents. The melee erupted in an instant. At that moment, a world-shaking roar suddenly exploded. Boom! As if the sky were collapsing and the earth splitting open, with the ground shaking violently, a terrifying dragon turtle, with a body length of 200,000 meters, slowly rose from beneath the earth. Its solid and thick scales supported the whole champing city as it looked up to the sky and let out a roar before it took a step forward. Its huge and sturdy limbs, like pillars of the heavens, shook the earth as they touched down, and each step stirred up a powerful storm. Witnessing this scene, the Xuanlong Beast Emperor, who had been losing ground under the attack of the Demon Wood Semi-Saint, suddenly froze, then his pupils contracted violently. What the hell is this? It could sense that the gigantic beast's strength was only at the king stage, and there were many present who could easily defeat it. But thanks to its enormous size, it was unexpectedly able to carry the entire champing city with such ease. Normally, body size doesn't offer much advantage in combat. But that's under normal circumstances. Whose king stage creature has a body size of 200,000 meters. This is 200,000, not 20. If Champing City has been moved away, then what's the point in fighting? Stop it, the Xuanlong Beast Emperor bellowed. However, his command was doomed to go unfulfilled. Because the forces of the 47th Beast Field had come so well prepared that, with the appearance of the Demon Wood Semi-Saint, the army of Beast Field number 8, which should have been the Calculators, became the Calculated. All of the creatures at the Emperor and Overlord stages now faced their own opponents and had no time to spare to stop that gigantic creature that was making strides. Although it moved somewhat slowly, each step covered 10,000 meters. You dare be distracted while battling me? The Demon Wood Semi-Saint spoke eerily, his spear dancing wildly, instantly poking a bloody hole in the Xuanlong Beast Emperor. The Xuanlong Beast Emperor's expression darkened in an instant, his face filling with wariness. There was something strange about that spear. The spear could absorb its life force at such a fast rate. It dared not let its guard down any longer, forcing itself to concentrate and pay full attention to deal with the storm-like assault of the Demon Wood Semi-Saint. Also pinned down by the attack of the Demon Wood Semi-Saint were the other 6 Beast Emperors that Feng Kanghai had failed to stop in time. 1 against 7, the Demon Wood Semi-Saint had managed to suppress them all completely, terrifying indeed. Leave that big guy to me. A fierce shout rang out at this moment across the battlefield. Immediately afterward, a transcendent being with the imperial crown over its head, yet whose momentum had not reached the Overlord stage, charged fiercely towards Kankan's direction. Hearing this voice, a glimmer of joy appeared in the eyes of the Xuanlong Beast Emperor. Almost forgot about this crown prince. Though his personality was imperious and capricious, as a direct descendant of the Saint Spirit, his strength was truly extraordinary. With guidance from the Saint Spirit level, this Crown Prince's vision and methods far surpassed those of the common Emperor species. It didn't matter that the big creature was a mere ordinary king stage creature. Even if it had been a king stage of the Emperor species, it would not have been a match for the Crown Prince. Moreover, as a direct descendant of the Saint Spirit, how could this Crown Prince not have some hidden cards and treasures? With him involved, surely they could stop this giant beast trying to take away Champing City. Noticing the feathered dragon, with its slender, crane-like figure and strength far surpassing the ordinary Beast King, flying swiftly towards Can-Can, Qi Yuan's expression changed slightly in the midst of battle. "Stop!" He let out a low shout, and the Overlord-level pet beast by his side instantly shifted its target, about to attack the approaching feathered dragon. But at that moment, the Overlord-level transcendent being he and his pet beast had been restraining acted in perfect concert to counter-restrain, leaving Qi Yuan unable to intervene. Trust in Su Ran, Fang Kanghai's voice reached Qi Yuan's ears. Qi Yuan exchanged a glance with Fang Kanghai in the distant battle ring and took a deep breath. Yes, at this moment, they could only choose to trust Su Ran. Kill. Unlike the chaotic battlefield, Su Ran and a few other little ones were sitting on Can-Can's high-raised head, quite excited. This was the first time Can-Can had fully displayed its maximum body type. Previously on the battlefield, it had only used the skill Heaven-Earth Law to instantly transform into a 10,000-meter figure. 10,000 meters is the limit of Heaven-Earth Law, but it's not Can-Can's limit at this moment. Aside from Heaven-Earth Law, Can-Can now possessed two other powerful 4-star skills that could greatly increase its body type. One evolved from the original 3-star skill echoing of Earth Vein, named Earth Descendant. Offspring of the Earth. After using this skill, Can-Can, just like a child of the Earth, would receive an enormous enhancement in its Earth attribute power, along with an all-around boost. It would merge with the Earth, its body capable of withstanding greater pressure, thus displaying an even larger body type. Apart from this, another 4-star skill that could enlarge Can-Can's body type, named True Form of the Dragon Turtle, had evolved from the powerful 3-star skill Dragon Turtle's power. At the moment True Form of the Dragon Turtle was deployed, Can-Can's body type would be greatly strengthened, its bloodline power tremendously enhanced, and while its defensive strength increased by a large margin, it would also exert a suppressive effect on all closely related beings. The so-called closely related beings refer to dragons and turtles among the transcendent beings. Although the opponent was willful and arrogant, as a direct descendant of the Saint Spirit, his strength was far from ordinary. With the guidance at the Saint Spirit level, the Crown Prince's vision and methods were far beyond those of ordinary Emperor species, not to mention that the massive creature attempting to take Champing City was just a common king stage being. Even if it were a king stage Emperor species, it still wouldn't be a match for the Crown Prince. Furthermore, as a direct descendant of the Saint Spirit, how could the Crown Prince not have some trump cards and treasures on him? With him there, they would definitely be able to stop that giant beast trying to take Champing City. Noticing the feathered dragon, slender as a crane and far surpassing a normal Beast King in strength, speeding toward Can-Can, Qi Yuan's expression subtly changed amid the fight. "Stop right there!" He issued a low shout. His Overlord stage pet beast immediately shifted its target, ready to attack the feathered dragon. At that moment, the Overlord-level transcendent being restrained by him, and his pet beast synchronously launched a counter-restraint, leaving Qi Yuan no room to act. Trust Su Ran, Fang Kanghai's voice reached Qi Yuan's ears. Qi Yuan exchanged a glance with Fang Kanghai in the distant battle ring and took a deep breath. Yes, at this moment, they could only choose to trust Su Ran. Kill. Unlike the chaotic battlefield, Su Ran and a few other little ones were sitting on Can-Can's high-raised head, quite excited. This was the first time Can-Can had fully displayed its maximum body type. Previously on the battlefield, it had only used the skill Heaven-Earth Law to instantly transform into a 10,000-meter figure. 10,000 meters is the limit of Heaven-Earth Law, but it's not Can-Can's limit at this moment. Aside from Heaven-Earth Law, Can-Can now possessed two other powerful 4-star skills that could greatly increase its body type. One evolved from the original 3-star skill echoing of Earth Vein, named Earth Descendant. Offspring of the Earth. After using this skill, Can-Can, just like a child of the Earth, would receive an enormous enhancement in its Earth attribute power, along with an all-around boost. It would merge with the Earth, its body capable of withstanding greater pressure, thus displaying an even larger body type. Apart from this, another 4-star skill that could enlarge Kankan's body type, named True Form of the Dragon Turtle, had evolved from the powerful 3-star skill Dragon Turtle's Power. At the moment True Form of the Dragon Turtle was deployed, Kankan's body type would be greatly strengthened, its bloodline power tremendously enhanced, and while its defensive strength increased by a large margin, it would also exert a suppressive effect on all closely related beings. The so-called closely related beings refer to dragons and turtles among the transcendent beings. Chapter 799, 381, Kankan at 12, Double Evolution. Its body transformed into a streak of rainbow, closing in rapidly on Kankan, and as it eyed Kankan's increasingly spectacular and terrifying form, a hint of amazement flickered through the feathered dragon's pupils. Such scale was now comparable to the Holy Spirit race when they unfolded their saint spirit forms. The feathered dragon would never dare approach this giant beast to test its strength. Who could have imagined that a creature of the king stage could grow to such an extent? However, no matter how preposterous, it was still just a creature of the king stage. Clearly sensing Kankan's level of power, the feathered dragon's eyes showed a hint of scorn. So big and yet so weak, a perfect target. But soon its scorn froze. A powerful presence descended rapidly from above the head of the giant beast in front of it, and in an instant appeared before the feathered dragon. Observing the other's terrifying thunder attribute aura and the thunderbolt crown condensed above its head, the feathered dragon's expression became slightly more solemn. Of course, just slightly. At the same stage, it was invincible. Even if the other was also of the king stage, emperor species, it was utterly confident of victory. Just you alone, the feathered dragon looked at Xian with considerable contempt, seeking death. Boom! A clap of thunder roared, and Xian casually grasped the emerging thunder light, looking at the feathered dragon as if it were a corpse. The restless and ferocious thunder light in its hand instantly transformed into a long spear, and was then hurled towards the feathered dragon. 4-star skill, Violent Sun Level Astonishing Thunder Fury. Roar! The feathered dragon roared, and a dense pale blue wind wall swirled around its body. The spear slowed dramatically as it met the layered resistance of the wind wall, coming to a complete stop before the feathered dragon. However, before the feathered dragon could reveal a smug expression, countless restless thunder lights surged from the void around it. These and the frozen thunderbolt spear in front of it seemed to resonate with each other, and the next moment, the spear exploded right in the feathered dragon's face. 4-star skill, Violent Sun Level Thunder Shocker. At the proficiency of the Violent Sun level, the execution of skills often wasn't restricted to form anymore. In this moment, the combination of 2 skills instantly formed a thunder sea that swallowed the feathered dragon's body, where the terrifying thunder force condensed to the extreme, as if heralding the end of the world. In this boundless sea of electric light, a flash of blue light lit up swiftly, and simultaneously, echoing through the thunderous sound was the disdainful voice of the feathered dragon. Is this your full strength? That's all you've got? Facing provocation yet again, Xian's expression turned even more unpleasant. With a thought, its flesh and blood body instantaneously transformed into a purple-black thunderbolt body. As its own form changed, the sea of thunder light also swiftly darkened, as if a new power was awakening amidst the thunder and light. Precise 5-star skill, Violent Sun Level Annihilating Thunder Body. Since the other was so set on seeking death, Xian didn't mind using its most potent power to oblige. As Xian's only successfully fused talent skill, the power of Annihilating Thunder Body was unquestionable. In the Thunder Sea, the feathered dragon was like it had been choked, its arrogant voice suddenly cut off, and the hazy blue light became extremely unstable, lurching as if trying to break free. Meow Tilda, continue speaking. Xian's gaze flashed coldly as the terrifying momentum around it thunderously rolled towards the Thunder Sea. Under the Annihilating Thunder Body, every hit landed would strike the enemy's vital points, causing significantly increased damage. It wanted to see just how long the feathered dragon could remain arrogant. Feeling the crashing energy within the Thunder Sea growing weaker, Xian nodded in satisfaction. But before it could revel in its triumph, a powerful aura suddenly burst from within the Thunder Sea, tearing it apart and rushing out. Damn ants! The current state of the feathered dragon was anything but good. There were multiple scorched marks across its body, with electric arcs ceaselessly traveling over it, but its face carried a strange shade of exhilaration. Its eyes locked onto Xian, and then it suddenly spoke in a different tone. "Is it you who harmed my clan's offspring?" What was this? Xian was momentarily stunned, but as it sensed the other's strength quickly rising, nearing the Overlord stage's mighty power, its expression changed instantly. Deep within its eyes flashed a glint of profound and obscure black, just as it was about to dispense divine punishment. A resplendent streak of starlight pattern swiftly enveloped its body. While elevating Xian's strength, it also dissuaded the idea of wielding divine punishment. The star arrived. Star, previously lingering behind Xian, now tread on the star cloud, walking the void. A crown of the splendid star cloud and starlight formed over its body. It gazed intently, the power-rising feathered dragon. Xilu Tilda, there's a stronger being using its body. Heh, you actually noticed. The feathered dragon let out a cold laugh. Both sides of its face donned completely different expressions, making it look particularly ferocious. Another king stage emperor species. What of it? I am invincible. Star slightly shook its head. A beam of light streaked across the void, falling instantaneously on both it and Xian. Star Oath. The Star Oath, combined with the previously cast Star God Blessing, twisted the powers of both together in an instant, the rising momentum on Xian's body causing the feathered dragon's face to freeze immediately. You? How was this possible? It possessed a treasured gift from the saint spirit ancestor of its clan. Its strength could greatly increase by drawing upon the soul of a predeceased elder. Chapter 800-381, Can at 12 Double Evolution. Chapter 801-382, A New Journey, Grand Finale. Evolution under the guard of faith does not require the presence of all the disciples. The disciples of the Dream God, personified by faith, naturally have a strong bond with 12. Through this connection, disciples are able to transfer a special, mysterious power to 12, a power 12 has named Force of Faith. With only a long-distance notification to all disciples through the connection between the two, preparing them to focus and transmit the Force of Faith, that alone qualifies as under the guard of faith. Now that 12 has the requisite number of disciples, the evolution can be carried out at any time. After communicating with the disciples for a moment with closed eyes, 12 opened those sea blue eyes, face filled with excitement and anticipation, and nodded at Su Ran. Su Ran took a deep breath, took out the resources needed for 12's evolution one by one and placed them in front of it. Go for it. Chatilda, go for it. Can emitted a sincere blessing. Having just successfully completed its own evolution, it now only hoped that 12's evolution would be as smooth as its own. The other three little ones also gave their blessings, and with the gaze of their little friends upon it, 12's eyes grew determined. It rapidly consumed all the resources in front of it, then soared high, enveloped in torrential energy. Countless dreamy sceneries passed by like bubbles, making 12's form grow indistinct. Su Ran and the other four little ones could only sense the agitated energy being swiftly smoothed and the momentum gradually intensifying. Time passed unnoticed, until the light of evolution pierced through the myriad illusions, lighting up the world. When the light faded, emerged a giant bird with an elongated body and wings spanning more than 10 meters, emitting a melodious cry. Above its head, countless fragments floated, converging into a crown, also resembling an endless loop. Each fragment contained a corner of a splendid scene, and within each one was another giant bird of the same likeness. At this moment, reality and fantasy blended. Rushing to its friend's side, the evolved 12 still carried a hint of relief in its eyes. Its evolution was far more perilous than anticipated, placing itself on the brink between reality and illusion, a huge risk. If not for every talent skill merging with a 3-star skill in the process of increasing its stars, if it hadn't been for the force of faith of over 10,000 disciples serving as an anchor, it might have lost itself in the void between reality and hallucination, sinking completely. Fantastic, Su Ran looked at the reborn 12, grinning broadly. Contract Pet Beast 12. Race Name, Reflection of Virtual Realm. Attribute, Super Ability Attribute. Growth Stage, King Stage 876.2 W1000W. Race Stage, Emperor Species. Skills: Soul Seal, Violent Sun Level. Illusory Realm of Reality and Void, Violent Sun Level. Lamenting Shadow, Violent Sun level. Life Scream, Violent Sun level. Sea of Heart, Violent Sun level. Eternal Slumber Dream, Violent Sun level. Illusory Momentum of Reality and Void, Violent Sun level. Projection of the Virtual Realm, Stardust level, 0-100 plus. Imperial Crown, Stardust level, 0-100 plus. Looking at 12's brand new skills, Su-Ran couldn't help but stroke his chin. 12's race name was Reflection of Virtual Realm. 12's talent skill was called Projection of the Virtual Realm. To say there was no connection between the two, he didn't believe it. 12, what does Projection of the Virtual Realm do? Su-Ran asked curiously. Hearing this question, a smile appeared in 12's eyes. It didn't answer directly, but lifted its head to gaze at the countless fragments above. Tilde, that is the Virtual Realm. After speaking, one of the fragments suddenly lit up. Then another 12 from within that fragment instantly flew out, its ethereal figure overlapping with 12. As Su-Ran and the other 4 watched in astonishment, 12's presence soared instantaneously. Although the rise wasn't huge, seeing the countless fragments still in the sky, the group swallowed hard in unison. You're not going to tell me that all these reflections can be projected onto you, are you? Su-Ran couldn't help but ask. Tilde, that's right. 12's affirmative reply made Su-Ran take a deep breath. But immediately afterward, 12 also explained the limitations of this skill. Firstly, after the reflection's descent, the corresponding fragment in the virtual realm would lose that reflection and couldn't naturally recover. It could only be restored by 12 constructing a new reflection in the virtual realm. And the material for construction wasn't anything else but the force of faith. Moreover, the construction speed had to be fast. If a virtual realm went too long without a reflection settling in, it would gradually slip out of 12's control and eventually disappear completely. This process of disappearance was irreversible. In other words, how many reflections 12 could summon instantly was not determined by the number of reflections, but by how many it could construct with the force of faith in a set time. If it overfished the resources, 12 would gradually lose virtual realms, and the strength of this skill would plummet quickly, even affecting its ability to use other skills. Understanding the situation, Su-Ran became tense. 12, do you have enough force of faith to construct a reflection? Tilde, don't worry. 12 gave Su-Ran a reassuring look. It now had 10,000 disciples. Their force of faith should be enough for it to descend 10 reflections of the virtual realm without any side effects. Chapter 802, 382, A New Journey, Grand Finale.